start. Are we all ready? Okay, let's stand for our flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you have a moment of silence? Tammy, would you do the roll call of members, please?
Clifford Adams.
Here.
Patty Anderson. Here. Gary Armagad.
Oh, sorry, yes, I'm here.
John Burke.
Basically, don't know it.
Brady Fight.
Here.
Diane Page. Here. Jeff Powell.
Here.
Eric Sunley.
Here.
Kelly Schroeder.
Here. Thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to offer our condolences to Ryan. For losing your mother, we keep you in our prayers. Let's move on to the official minutes. Do I have someone who would like to waive the reading and approve the official minutes from the April 8th workshop meeting and the April 15th voting meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, do we have any public participation this evening? Okay, not seeing any. We have 3 presentations tonight. We're going to start with Mr. Rich Robert. He is here to kind of help us and provide us with some information on a discussion we've had previously about bus driver requirements and the issues we're having with getting bus drivers and if there's any way we as a board can support them. So Rich, I'll turn it over to you.
I'm just here to answer your questions. I didn't understand that you have some misunderstandings of how it is to get bus license. You want to know what kind of difficulties we have getting drivers?
So can you walk us through the process? Somebody, that's 21 years old, they just have a regular license, they want to
You
get
can
their.
actually get a school bus license at 18.
Okay, so age 18, they have the regular license. Walk us through the process of how they need to get their school bus
You
license.
get a school bus physical, you
Okay.
go in, you get your permit, you go through 14 hours of classroom, 6 hours of driving, and you take 4 tests,
Four written tests.
4 written tests, you're licensed.
Well, you have to pass drugs.
Yeah, and then you have to take a driver's test in a school bus.
Okay, and
And
then,
once that's done, you are legally allowed to drive a school bus.
okay, and then where do you take those tests at? Does that have to be at?
DMV, the written tester is DMV,
Okay,
and then, we take our drivers to a third party up here at Granbury, so we've been taking our, and you go through the driver's test with them, and you can also do that at DMV,
okay.
and that's it.
What
Basically for driving.
can you review the cost like you told me what the cost was?
License fee total was $117.
That's to have the CDL.
Yeah, it's an additional $60 on top, basically an additional $60 on top of your regular license.
That's like 4 years, 117.
That's 4 years. The training is $140. That's to go through the classroom and the driving.
Okay,
Third-party tester, now if you go to the DMV, I don't think it would cost this much, but we go to a third-party tester, that's an additional $150. Because they're a little more helpful to the driver, they explain things a little easier. It's not necessarily, your DMV guys, they deal with everybody.
And their whole purpose in life is to intimidate you.
Yeah, we had that situation where she could explain that really well. She ran into a situation where she proved the instructor wrong. So she made her life miserable. She made her actually do a reverse serpentine, which is not normal for the test. I actually took mine in an ice storm. The DMV guy was very nice to me. But the third party people will sit there, and if you're nervous, they'll talk to you, they'll give you, kind of keep you calm.
It's easier.
Yeah, I mean,
It's less stressful.
but they're instructors too. Now, I was there when my sister took the test, and I listened to one of the instructors coming in from doing a driving test with another guy, and he was living. I mean, he was cussing and swearing. So they're just as bad, they can be. Then your physical is $90 and your clearance is $85. You still have to get all the fingerprinting and everything else. So you got a total of $562. more or less, basically $600.
And that's for Class B.
Now with the physical, you cannot drive, I mean, there is a misconception out there that if you have this physical, you can drive a triaxle or other Class B, you cannot. It is not a DOT physical, they are different. School bus and DOT are different.
Okay.
You do not need a DOT to drive a school.
So when you guys do your test, and then you guys have to do pre-trip, and do you have to get an air brake endorsement for the buses as well? If they have,
Everybody buses here.
Yes,
okay.
and we have all air brakes, so when it's stopped, when we take them in, they are air brake approved.
So none of the endorsements though, or your Class B CDL transfers over if you want to drive a triaxle of any sort though?
Well, yes, they would, but you have to go in and get a CDL physical.
You have to get a DOT.
You have to have a special physical card for that purpose.
Will a DOT physical card, or will a DOT medical card cover the school bus physical
No.
card? No, okay,
No, they are separate physicals.
okay.
That is a misconception some people have. You have to have both physical cards on you if you're gonna drive one or the other.
Is that the only thing keeping a Class A CDL driver from becoming a school bus driver, is just the,
As long as he has his passenger endorsement also, and a school bus endorsement. You have to have a school bus endorsement, air brake endorsement, air brake, school bus, passenger,
And CDL.
and CDL.
And that gives you a Class B CDL.
That is what you would get for school bus.
And then a lot of people, I've talked to other contractors, they'll go through the training process, and then the driver will quit, because all of a sudden he's CDL certified, so he'll go get a DOT physical and drive a triaxle.
See, we haven't, like when I recertified the last time, our instructor informed us that they had problems, and I'm not gonna, it's gonna sound like I'm being racist here, growing up. They had problems with the Mexicans in the city, were going in and doing school bus visit, training, because they weren't requiring the, people to crawl onto the buses, and when they were doing their pre-trips, to do it, they just asked you to tell you what you had to look at. They just say, okay, what do you have to do? You would just go through it, you just ran through it verbally, you didn't have to do it physically. Well, they were finding out that they didn't have to do that, so what they would do is they'd go to a school bus, get their CDL, and go and drive. Well, they didn't know what they were doing. You just read the book, memorized it, and that's what they would do. Well, they had no idea what they were looking for, but they had to do it paper-wise. Well, they found out about it, so they changed the rules for school bus. They started making everything, they were handing people papers and said, okay, we need you to point it to us. We want you to show us. Well, he said that he had a lady that was in her late 60s, early 70s, went through everything, paid for everything. Got to her test, the instructor handed her a paper. She goes, what's this for? I thought all I had to do was tell you. He said, no longer. You have to crawl into the bus. She goes, no, I don't. He said, if you want to pass the test, you have to. He said, she goes, I was doing this for gas money. I'm not crawling under that bus. I'm done. She turned around and walked away. So she basically threw all her money away and walked away from the test because she was not crawling under the bus to do the pre-trip.
No, they,
So they have changed the rules. So, because of certain situations, because they had it easier for us, because as long as we knew what we were supposed to check, they were allowing us to go. I mean, because you can basically look underneath and point to the stuff that you need to do, rather than have to crawl in underneath a dirty bus or whatever. And now, you could have crawled into that dirty bus.
what would a person with no experience, start making on a day or week or how is it paid?
Each contractor is different. We basically do like $60 a day, and then we do a $100 bonus if you don't miss any days.
it's based on the contractor's.
And then like activities, we pay a third of the bucks. Now, some contractors pay an hourly rate. It's on our way, I call it a feast or famine. If it's a short run, and let's say the trip only makes $90, you're only gonna make $30. But now, if it's on a long run and the trip makes $600, you just make $200 for that night. I mean, so it works out. But now I've had other contractors who are paying hourly, and they're complaining, I'm losing money. And I look at them, I'm like, no, you're not. And it's that short trip, yeah, you're paying more than what the trip's making, but when you run that long run, you're making a whole lot of money and your driver's not making anything. So you've got, I mean, he has to look at it both ways. So,
Nobody wants to drive a school bus. Do any of you people in here like to get licensed to drive a school bus?
anybody here want to get licensed? Well, I mean, the problem we hear, the biggest thing is, I can't handle the kids. I can't drive something that big.
I'm not driving in the wintertime. I'm not driving on bad roads. I won't drive a car on bad roads. I'm not driving a school bus on bad roads.
Yeah. It's not necessarily, we never hear time. That's the first time I've ever heard that. It's always, I couldn't handle that many kids. I don't know how you do it. Well, it's a training thing. I mean, how many are teachers, or have been teachers? Okay, you train your kids, right? When you get your kids in the classroom, you teach them how you want them to behave. Well, it's the same thing with the school bus. You start at kindergarten, okay, you know, like I just took over a bus route this year, and when I took it over, Lori told me that there was troubles with it last year, and I told her, well, I'm old school bus driver. I'm gonna yell, I'm gonna scream, they're not gonna like it. Well, those kids love me, because there's quarter on that bus, there's, you know, I think, I've been in, what, 3 times this year maybe? But it's a different bus, and that's what you gotta do, you gotta teach them that this is what you want, this is how they gotta behave, and when you're on bad roads, you really gotta tell them, hey, roads are bad, you guys gotta be extra good at them. And they'll help you. I got stuck twice this year, and all I did was say, all right, everybody to the back seats. They jumped up, ran to the back seats, and they go, what do we do? And just sit there. I need the extra weight in the back of the bus. They sat down, didn't move.
So the classroom portion of your CDL license, where do you take that at?
Our instructor is Brian Caldwell, that's who we've been using. He is Donna Overlander's assistant.
Okay.
Barrett Busing down in Red Bank, they are starting they've got someone trained to be a trainer, I guess. They are starting to run their own classes. I just got word from.
Those classes are done in the summer.
Yes. Now, sometimes if they can get enough people, they will run them year-round. I mean, you can find a class, if you can get enough people to get instructed, they'll run them anytime throughout the year. Because you can do it on weekend. They'll do 2 classes, during 7 hours in time. Like if you're a new student.
Sure.
A research 7 hours in 1 day. Take a full Saturday, and you're done.
3 hours.
And then you're done.
So Brian's a certified instructor then?
Yeah.
So how much does he charge them per session?
Well, it's 100, you know,
The last time I got somebody recertified, he charged me $60.
Okay.
So a new one would be double that, it would be $120.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I believe somebody had said it was like $5,000, they thought it was $5,000, if you do a couple weeks of training. It's not, it's not as bad as you think, and you can get all the manuals online if you need them. As you can see in your pamphlets there, we talked to Melinda Hoffman. She's excited and nervous at the same time. She's been mentioning to me for the last few years about wanting to become a bus driver. And we were on a field trip there last week. I said, well, you ready? And she goes, you serious? I said, yeah. So she's all excited. She went and got her physical the next day. She had her permit. So,
But she can't drive full time.
yeah, but she still has 3 kids to go.
Yeah.
So, but, and that's fine. We'll use anybody we can at any time. That's how desperate we are. Ask Lori, she can tell you what Dave tell, I'm sure Dave tell her all the time, Dave calls me up all the time, he'll text me, I told him this year, I said, I hate it when I get a phone call the day before. He's called me up, I'm really sorry, but I gotta run tomorrow, can you take? I take, because I know how bad it is for the school.
But again, nobody is willing to drive with us.
And we've got contractors who can do it, but they don't want to do it. They just,
They have a license to drive a bus, they just choose not to drive their own bus.
where they don't wanna run activity, they don't wanna run the evenings. So, I mean, and getting people, and like I said, you know, we just put that question out here, and not a single person put their hand up. And how many people's in here? 20, 30? You know, there wasn't one volunteer.
I put it, this,
We put it in the paper a couple times, Lori's had it on Facebook.
I've had it on my own Facebook.
And don't feel guilty, folks, that I'm not trying to lay a guilt trip, but that's the standard answer. And we were talking to David and Kelly there a little early, and the biggest thing that's killed bus drivers is COVID. Nobody wants to be stuck in a 40-foot tin can with a bunch of sick kids. I mean, and that's what we haul. I mean, parents send their kids to school sick, isn't that right? I mean, just this morning, I'm coming in, and I had a bullfrog behind me. I mean, she was hacking and coughing, I'm like, why are you going to school? I mean, but if there's nothing I can do, all I do is drive the bus, and so.
So can we give you any suggestions? No, because if we had suggestions, we would
We already have, we would have our
We
buses
would
full.
incorporate them on ourselves.
Yeah,
Well, we were
I mean-
trying to think if there's any way we could help support our contractors. And,
I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you offer the people. I mean,
well, it's a sign of the society right now that
Right,
nobody
I
wants
mean-
to work.
I can say, hey, give me a raise, and I can try to pass it on, it's not gonna work, because they gotta want the job to get them the job.
Right.
And just even, you know, like I said, there's other contractors, I know there's contractors out there paying hundreds of dollars to that. Bigger contractors that are getting paid, that have put bids in and are not getting state formula. And I'm not using that against you guys, but you know, the ones that have put the bids in and getting paid a lot more money per bag. They're paying more, but they're still looking for jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Montauk, they just, Campbell's have dropped. Montauk and Slipper dropped school buses. ABC has committed taking them over, and ABC's already got signs up over
Yes,
there.
there's signs all over there. Yeah.
They're still looking. I talked to one of Barrett's drivers, since Valley has been put out. I don't know how else to put it. And Barrett's taking over. They've got 5 drivers from Valley, and the other drivers have said they're done. So they're still looking for drivers.
I
So
talked to Teresa Haynes. She drives,
that's for Brookville and CL. She's the big contractor for CL, and she's also a trainer. And
they
Driver
lost
training.
7 drivers this year.
Well, if you think of anything or something comes up that we could help with as a district, host something, have a class, let us know. I mean, because your problems are our problems, so.
I mean, as far as classroom, and we've got lots of instructors. That's not, I mean, getting classes isn't a problem. We call Brian up, and we tell him we got 2, 3 people. He calls other contractors. He rounds up a few more to make it worth his while. That's, I mean, he also drives a bus for trees. He actually works for Haynes Busing as well. He drives, what do you say, he takes an hour vacation every
He
day.
takes an hour's vacation every day from Donna Overlander's office, so he can drive afternoon school buses.
For that.
The only thing I can think of, and you're gonna have to get a whole bunch of other school districts together to do this, is if the state could offer incentives, signing bonuses, something, and have the state pay for it, because I don't wanna pay for it, and you don't wanna have to pay for it.
But there's even contractors that have signing bonuses. I've seen,
Yeah.
they have signing bonuses, and it's not.
All right, we
I
appreciate,
know this isn't any help,
well, we appreciate you coming. At least we have a clear picture of what's involved in.
and I've talked to, on field trips when I've been in Pittsburgh with other contractors, and I've talked to other kind of all over, and they're all the same.
Any other questions? All right,
I
thank
hope I
you.
cleared some stuff.
You did, yeah, it was very helpful. Appreciate you coming. Thank you. Okay, our next presentation is from Mrs. Tracy Daly, the school nurse, and Mrs. Leanne Conto, our health technician, about what's happening with student athlete paperwork.
I'm going to use a microphone because my voice isn't very nearly like Richie's does. So, good evening. Thanks for having us here this evening to speak on behalf of the nursing department with our involvement with athletics. First, I wanted to introduce to you Leanne Conto. She is the health technician that started with us right after Easter. Leanne comes to us with a wealth of information. She has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, as well as a Bachelor of Science in Public Health. She's doing a tremendous job learning the building, learning the kids is the biggest hurdle she's come into, but she's doing a great job, so I just wanted to introduce you to her. She's going to hand out some packets that we made for you in regards to the athletic involvement that we have been asked to take on. So in a roundabout way, the athletic discussion started back right around the time that Holly Irwin passed away. I was walking in the halls covering both buildings, and Dave Sherman grabbed me and said, hey, I need you to do some impact tests for junior high basketball, boys basketball that was getting ready to start. And I said to him, Dave, right now, I can't take another thing on my plate. I said, for one, I'm covering both buildings, and two, I don't even know how to do an impact test to administer them. I said, so at this point in time, I cannot help out. So we hit into mid-March to where we started interviewing for the health technician position, and in the interview process is where I learned that we were going to go ahead and get involved in athletics. One of our interviewees has asked, what's on my responsibility in athletics, and David had mentioned that she would be overseeing physical work, physical paperwork, and that different part of athletics. So that's kind of got us started into researching our process here at AC Valley. Because as nurses, we have been taught if it's not documented, it's not done. So we have a tendency to dot every I and cross every T. And unfortunately, in a roundabout way, we found some concerns that we had in our athletic process. So the first thing, we have a working document that was provided by Bill Jordan. He sent it over to us because David had asked for certain numbers. We were hoping to get some physicals started here on campus so we could hit more student athletes here before we left for the summer. And in and about that working document, there was a coaches tabs, there was all the athletic sports teams that we had for fall, winter, spring. It was a wealth of information. But as I was going through the coaching part, it had been brought to my attention that we had some coaches that were not compliant with the PIAA concussion and cardiac-wise certifications that are required every year. So the first thing in your packet of information is going to be the Safety in the Sports Act. And I know you have already been kind of, this was brought to your attention, but I wanted to take particular note on the second page of letter E of the training course. As you can see, I highlighted it for you, that each school year, a coach shall complete the concussion management certification training course offered by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Federation of State High School Associations, or another provider approved by the Department of Health. A coach shall not coach an athletic activity until the coach completes the training course required under the subsection. So as you can see, as I'm finding this out, and our coaches aren't compliant, we have some that are not. I started getting a lot of hesitation of moving forward and putting my name out there, as well as Leanne's name out there, taking over an athletic role whenever we're not even compliant with the PIAA through our coaching. Yes.
We have a cooperative athletic committee meeting. Did we find after that we had coaches that were not compliant? I know they're not on the site, but we found out coaches had actually taken the training, it was not uploaded, because it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was optional to upload to the site, but our coaches were actually completed the training.
Correct. I have sent numerous emails to, we have a string, David, Bill, Dave Sherman, and Scott Kendall at Union. And to date, I have nothing on campus other than the file that we had up in Emily Shoemaker's filing cabinet of 4 coaches that were compliant. I haven't seen anything that we have on campus for anybody else. And like I said, ongoing emails and nothing has been brought that I have seen.
Has Scott responded to those?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he has, but he can't, Scott Kendall can't see our athletes, or I mean, our coaches.
Okay.
Only Dave Sherman's able to get into the PIAA website and actually see, our coaches. What PIAA does, it gives a thumbs up when the coach has the certification taken care of, but the actual document to prove that is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And
if a coach took that certification, say 2 years ago, and they're still a coach, you still get the thumbs up, and that shouldn't be it. They have to do it every year.
Every year.
Well,
And
what
we
he
did-
talked at the meeting was that he thought he had some paperwork that we didn't have, so evidently he doesn't. Scott, Kendall?
Scott Kendall has the coaches that are hired through union. He
Right,
does have their paperwork.
okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to
No,
clarify.
that's
I
okay.
knew that
Well,
was topic.
And we met with Dave Sherman as well, and we were able to get on the PIAA website together, and there are coaches on there that haven't coached in years. As well as obviously the ones that aren't updated as well. So that's kind of leading us into being very hesitant about moving forward, like I said. So on the second page of the packet that you have is the PA Department of Education, the required training. And as you can see, it says a coach must complete the course under each heading annually prior to holding practice with their students. And that's one thing that I think is very important. The certification should be done prior to stepping on the field. It shouldn't wait until a paycheck is handed out or withhold a paycheck. I mean, from day one, they should be certified to keep the safety and health of our athletes. And our first line of defense as a medical professional is our coaches. If our coaches can't tell you what a concussion symptom is and they have a kid saying he's had a headache for 3 days and they don't remove him from play, that's a big issue, especially if a major tragic event happens, as we all have seen at Carn City. Something like that is not far away from us. So that is where I got the PIAA, that's right off of their website, of course with the concussions as well. So the next piece of paper that you're gonna find in your packet is actually something that we just started handing out, that we actually think we asked to see a physical paperwork packet before we started handing them out here, just so we could get started for the summer. And this is our concussion protocol steps for AC Valley. And I have highlighted 4 different steps. So number 4, if you read it, it's saying any athlete who's suspected of having a concussion or traumatic brain injury, even one symptom, should be monitored and should be provided with written home instructions, AC Valley head injury care form, which will be provided by the athletic trainer. We cannot find an AC Valley head injury care form anywhere, and it's provided by an athletic trainer, which we don't have. So who's providing that? Who's giving that information out? Who is monitoring that student athlete if they happen to have a concussion, even one symptom? And again, we revert back, the coaches may know of that symptom, but cardiac and concussion-wise trains that, we don't have that. Number 6, student athletes who have impact results that fall below baseline and show a sign or symptoms of a concussion or traumatic brain injury should have a call made home to communicate with a parent or guardian with the suggestion for the student to be seen by a licensed physician as soon as possible. So again, who's communicating that call home? Who's making that phone call home? We would think it would be an athletic trainer, but we don't know that. Number 7, once the student athlete is asymptomatic with post-injury impact data within normal baseline limits and with clearance from a licensed physician, a 5-stage return to play protocol should be completed, supervised by an athletic trainer. So that 5-stage return to play protocol is something that is used to get them back into play, obviously. It's supposed to be supervised by an athletic trainer. Are our coaches doing that? Who is supervising that return to play part? Because it's a true return to play. It's going to be safe, saying, okay, they've done, non-strenuous, then they kind of work their way up into full contact sport again. So that's concerning as well. And number 10, the licensed athletic trainer reserves the right to withhold the student athlete from physical activity, including participation in practices and competition, if the athletic trainer believes returning to play would be detrimental to the student athlete's health. Again, athletic trainers in there, which we don't have. And I spoke with Heather over at Union. We spent a lot of time on the phone during this whole process, and she's told me that, she primarily focuses on football because it's our biggest, injury contact sport. And she said truly after the fall, she does very little or any involvement with our student athletes. So you have a student athlete who has injured an ankle, high ankle sprain, who could be out 4 weeks, can't start a rehab process to get back into play. So that's very concerning because we have nothing to offer at that point. So now an injury that lasts 4 weeks is now a season-ending injury because we can't get them back into rehab. And Heather has said that she will see athletes at Union when they're at Union, but what do we do with the sports that we aren't co-op with? Or if they practice here and they don't practice at Union? That's kind of where nursing comes into play because they're coming to see us and we're not athletic trainers. It's very hard for us to do athletic training stuff. That's not what we've been trained for. So we're hesitant in moving forward until these things are resolved, or if you have a recommendation of how these things can be deciphered out and who's going to oversee it. And so say we have a coach who is not certified the first day of preseason, who's going to say, okay, you can't go out there and coach. On behalf of Leanne and I, we're the school nurse, the health technician. We don't feel that is in our vicinity to go and remove a coach from coaching. We believe that should be an administrator because obviously you are, the higher up, you're the boss that they should be directly reporting to. So the last piece of paperwork in your packet is the proposed athletic responsibility plan for the nursing department. And we spoke with David a lot about this plan and putting a plan into place. And I think that's where we lack. We've had a lot of people, since we haven't had an athletic trainer for the last few years, be involved. And I'm not saying they haven't done a good job, but there's a lot of hands in a pot that things don't get done and things that get missed. Obviously, the coaching certifications, I believe, is one of them. That's very important. So we developed a plan that we would like you to take a look at. And if you would like us to proceed, that's great. If you would choose not to proceed, that's great too. Whatever you feel is best for the district, but we feel if we can outline the steps of everything that we can provide, that we're not going above and beyond our scope of practice as nurses, then that's how we would like to help. We know it's a lot of work. And like I said, in speaking with everybody who's been involved, from Dave Sherman to Emily Shoemaker to Melissa Morrison to Tim Thompson, to Bill, there's so many pieces of the puzzle, but we need to have very distinct roles and responsibilities because that's the only way to keep our student athletes safe. So as you can see, some of the things that are highlighted, I'll go over. Of course, for us to, like I said at the beginning, we feel that the coaches need to be in complete compliance before we put our names out there. We feel that is probably the biggest and the most important aspect of this whole presentation tonight. So the first thing that I have highlighted is all of the physical forms will have to be completed. So even if, Johnny does not have the second page signed, guess what? Johnny doesn't practice until that is signed. We can communicate that out with Bill or with Dave or whoever, and then they can communicate with the coach that, hey, John doesn't have this done, he can't practice, he can't play until it is. So everything would be filled out. We would take care of all the physical paperwork, as long as the AD or the principal will contact the coach and enforce the physical requirement and explain that the student athlete is unable to participate until it's completed. The second thing that we thought we could help out on is the baseline impact testing. The baseline impact testing is a test to see what your baseline is neurologically. The re-impact test is if you've had sustained an injury, and this is where it kind of gets a gray area. Leanne and I it's not in our scope of practice to diagnose, to refer, to do those types of things that a trainer does, but we would be willing to go ahead and do all baseline impact testing for our 7th, 9th, and 11th graders and get them all baseline impact tested prior to their season. Now that's going to take additional work as far as getting everything set up. The test itself takes about 30 minutes. One nice thing with the baseline impacts is that once the student athlete is generated in the system, they have an ID number, and any healthcare professional who's going to be working with that student can get into that system and pull up their ID number and see what their baseline is. So as you can see, the things that I have highlighted, we can't analyze results. We do not feel comfortable re-impacting after a suspected injury or symptoms to robotic concussion unless we're directed by an approved licensed medical provider trained in the diagnosis, management, and treatment of concussions and traumatic brain injury. Like I said, we'd be only responsible for administering the initial baseline tests. And again, at the end, like I've already said, that we did not feel comfortable doing athletic training responsibilities such as wrapping post sports injuries, taping, strengthening exercises, the 5-stage to return to the protocol to return to play. So in gathering all this information, like I said, athletics is not just in the fall. Athletics is just not in the spring. It is full year. We have athletics going on throughout the winter, and it is something that is a continuous, never-ending circle as you go through the sports seasons. So what are we asking for? I've talked to Clarion County school nurses. They have very to little no interaction in athletics. There's not another school nurse out there who is doing physicals, doing impact testing. They may do very few physicals for their for the requirement for the screenings throughout the grades, but they're not doing much with athletics at all. I talked to Brenda Wallace, who's our school nurse consultant at the state level, and she sent me information and told me that schools are required to provide nursing services to students anytime that they're under the school jurisdiction. School jurisdiction would include non-PIAA sports and athletic activities such as intramural sports. PIAA and PIAA after-school activities do not fall within our school health law regulations. I also reached out to Julie Smith, our representative for our union, and she has encouraged us, if this is something that we want to pursue, that we are encouraged to ask to be compensated for the additional work that we were having with athletics. She recommended that it be a supplemental type of position rather than just a stipend. And she questioned, we still have an athletic trainer salary in the budget. If that is what we do have, where is that money going to if we don't have a trainer and we're not paying Heather a union that salary as well? So as far as the training, athletic training goes, we're not trying to be an athletic trainer because we can't do those things, but we are willing to help make our process better for the health and safety of our athletes because we want to keep them in the sports that they love to play here at AC Valley. So can I answer any questions in regards to?
Can I also say that I think this is snowball. I don't think our intention as a board was to ask you to become a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
We were just looking for you folks to assist with sorting the paperwork, checking it off and make sure that's done. I think that's all the requirements that we were asking of you.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that we've tried to hire an athletic trainer. There's just nobody out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I would say, as far as the physicals, I know Union is handling them all, and they confirmed that when we had our athletic meeting, correct, Carrie?
Yeah.
They've already got them scheduled, and our kids are going there.
Yeah, and that's one thing we had talked to David about. We were hoping if we got involved that we could have physicals here at AC Valley. We already had it actually scheduled with Dr. Leonard.
Right.
He was going to come on campus because PIAA changed the date from June 1st to May 1st. So what we were hoping is we could go ahead and hit students before they left for summer break to provide them the physical here so we could hit more of our students. But then we got the email that they were going to Union. But we're hoping, if we're going to proceed, that we would go ahead and do those physicals right here at school, get them done during school hours. Same thing with the impact testing. We would do those in the spring for the next upcoming.
Who does the impact testing now?
Dave Sherman, myself, usually.
Okay.
Heather, and I think Heather took care
Heather did some, last year she scheduled a time. And she came over here for 3 days straight just to do impact tests.
Okay.
I definitely appreciate you guys pointing out the issues we have, but also coming with solutions to the problem. That's very much appreciated. As David, as far as making sure the coaches have the paperwork turned in on time, I know that's an issue we talked about with union. Who would be in charge of that? Would that be Dave Sherman's responsibility to make sure these coaches are?
It'd be the high school, the high school administration.
Okay.
And I think as a board, we're in agreement that if they don't have their paperwork in, they don't coach. And that's our policy. It's kind of slipped this year, but, and then some of that falls back on the coaches. They know they have to do that. So,
Right.
and I know that Union is having a day for all the coaches here and at Union to attend get this stuff out of the way, to take the online courses. And I think if they can't attend that day, then it's on them to, but that's a responsibility if you decide to become a coach.
Oh, no, I definitely agree, but
You gotta meet the
true. I'm just,
responsibilities.
no, I know, I'm aware of that, but I wondered whose responsibility was to keep the.
Oh,
coaches in line.
I understand, yeah.
Do you guys have to get any training to become impact certified to get the impact test at all, or?
Not to give the impact test is what I've been told.
Okay.
It's a computerized.
It's a computerized test, but then what you can do is you can do a group of students at one time, like we would do each individual sport at one time. So call in junior high football, we'd put them in the LGI, they'd bring their Chromebooks, we would give them all the login information and they'd go ahead and take the test together. So that group of athletes would be done, and we bring in another group, which would take us about 2 days, is what we kind of figured with all the sporting teams that we have.
Is the impact, I don't know anything about sports, is the impact test the same for every student, is it the same for every sport, age group?
It's the same for every student, every sport. So what happens is that whenever you have an insult to injury, they would say they needed re-impacted to see if their neurological status has changed or decreased from what their baseline is. That says they can diagnose them with a concussion and put in certain recommendations or accommodations for school, those types of things.
So you can give this, the second impact test, you just can't evaluate the results, so you're saying?
We can't evaluate the results of the baseline either.
No, but you can give both tests, correct?
If
Before
the
and
second,
after.
we can give the first test without the direction of a doctor that specializes in concussion management. The second re-impact test, if they have been injured, has to come under the direction of a specialized doctor specialized in concussions, because obviously they're seeing that doctor for a concussion and they want to see that result.
Okay, thank you.
If I can add, we have followed that process. Any student that has been referred to us with a possible concussion injury, we have told them to go to their personal doctor, get evaluated, and bring us back some kind of documentation saying whether or not they could have a concussion. If we re-impacted them, it was only when the physician said, I need another test to be given. And Dave Sherman and myself, we have done that.
And then they get the results, which only
They
makes
get the
sense. It shouldn't
results.
be our responsibility as a district to determine the physical health of the students.
And they had to have a release
Correct.
from, like, I'm thinking, Ken's senior year, when she had a concussion from the softball to the face. She couldn't participate until we had a release from the doctor.
Correct.
And they did re-impact her,
Mhm.
at the physician's office.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jimmy had that, and he had his re-impact test was through the doctor.
Yeah, and that's where that 5-phase, return to play policy or program comes in, because you need to go through those 5 phases before they're gonna clear you.
Yeah.
Little exertion, then you kind of
Most
feel
of
it
the-
going.
At least the ones that my kids have gone to, the doctors have that in place, and they make them go through that privately with their own physician, and then they let whoever, either the athletic trainer here or whoever's in charge at the time.
And one thing we're seeing in the nursing office is we'll have somebody come in on Monday, I have a headache, or I hurt my ankle at the game on Friday. We have no idea what their injury entails. Obviously, we weren't at the game, and they're asking us to tape them or ice them or splint them. We
No,
have no idea what that is, what
that
that
should be
entails.
your responsibility.
And that's where kind of I put very clear that athletic training responsibility such as that is out of our realm. But we've had a lot of students come in and ask for those things, even just in the last, month and a half that Leanne's been here. She's like, hey, so-and-so's in here for this. And I'm like, look, that's not our jurisdiction. That is not us at all. Because we don't know that realm of athletic training at all.
And this document, I believe, probably, tell me if I'm wrong, this was written by our previous athletic trainer, probably when Kevin was here.
Even before Kevin.
So it probably needs to be updated, and some of these things would be taken off because the physicians are doing those. So that's something we probably should reevaluate and update it. Do you not agree, or
I-
what's
I would
everybody's thoughts on that?
Yes, I would.
It needs updated and gone.
Yeah.
Sure.
And some of those things can come off of there.
Sure, so I guess if we don't have an athletic trainer, I mean, whose responsibility is that then to go through and update that, make sure that those are within guidelines?
I would say the athletic director.
Okay.
And that's a high school issue, so.
No, I think it needs updated, but
I don't think I don't think any athletic director has the medical expertise though to update a document like that.
I agree.
So do we need to talk to
I was gonna say,
unions?
I was gonna say, could Heather take a look and
Heather,
say, you know,
Yeah,
here
tell
are
us,
some suggestions for how this can be
Yes.
changed.
compare it to what they're doing, because I would think they're, other than the fact that they have a trainer, we don't, but she could maybe evaluate and say, hey, this is what you guys can handle.
And what's Heather's last name?
Not sure.
But they had a line on hiring an athletic trainer. I haven't, did you hear on anything
I haven't
from
heard
you?
anything about it. One more thing in defense of Dave, the PIAA website is not good for keeping these kind of records. As I said, he gets on, looks at coaches that we haven't worked here for 2 years and still gets the thumbs up. You know, that shouldn't be happening. That those kinds of things that they have on that website shouldn't indicate that those coaches are good to go. But that's how it works on there.
So, Bill, who brings up those coaches that are no longer employed? Is that a PIAA thing? Can it be, you do it, or?
I can't do it. I've tried to do it before and I can't do it. I can't even change the AD that's in there. Scott Tulio was on there for years. I kept trying to get rid of him and get it off of there. It just wasn't going away.
So once the training is completed, I would assume they can print out a certificate.
Correct.
Yes.
Or whatever. If we make that a requirement, like a coach's requirement, that.
That's what we're doing now. We're telling them they have to take that certificate, upload it so that we can actually click and print it off instead of just seeing that thumbs up.
And if they can't upload it, just bring a copy into the school prior to.
They
I'm
can,
just
it's just
thinking,
uploading
you
the
know,
file.
people that are technologically.
I would think we should have a folder on each coach, and that paperwork stays in that folder. Isn't that what union does? I thought that's what you told us they did.
That's what Union does.
Yeah.
I just assumed that we kept paper copies of them, but.
And the trainer used to do all those things, so it got lost in the shuffle, changing ADs constantly, you know, no athletic trainer. And to be honest, the turnover is also brutal. When you have a coach that's required to do a certain thing within a year's time, you're given a year's time to do it. They coach one season, then they're gone. And then they come back 2 years later and coach again. And I think it's got lost in the shuffle. And a lot of those duties have fallen on different people, and we've all tried to pitch in to try to get it done, but nobody's the point person. And too many people with too many responsibilities trying to do a job.
Understand, you guys, yeah, you've done well picking up the slack. Do we have any kind of a document that we can give our coaches that say, this is your responsibility? And these things have to be completed or you cannot step foot on the field.
I
And
can
then
work
put
with
in a
Dave Sherman
folder.
to create a packet, you know, that we, as soon as somebody gets hired, just hand them that packet and tell them those things that are required. Some of them even, I know Andrea's been asking for clearances and this and that and the other from some of the coaches that were hired. And I don't know, did we still get some of those things?
And Scott started a document too, of kind of like a checklist for coaches that
Yes.
he shared with us.
Is it not having time to follow up, you know, to make sure and having those conversations, like, you cannot hold a practice until we have this, like, period.
You know, telling a coach
Yeah.
to get something done and then calling them, chasing them down, trying to show up at a practice or a game to get it. It just, there's a lot of time involved in that.
I would back it up pre-hire.
Yeah.
Here's a packet, you read this, you have an understanding, this is what you have to do before you even apply for this job.
I agree.
And then when the job is activated and offered, give them a fixed amount of time that they have to have that turned in.
In a
And it should
perfect
be-
world, that would be great, but
They
we've
have to
hired
do that
people,
kind of oral-
you know,
The day before they have to
the day
start coaching.
before the job starts, and it
And
sometimes
then
it
that's
just
the shame on us. So just the day before, you automatically told those kids they can't start practice after they're hired coach.
And that certification, that concussion and cardiac lies, it takes you about 20 minutes and you can do it on your phone.
Right.
I mean, it's not like this 3-hour-long course. It literally would take you to get both of them done probably about 40 to 45 minutes. And you can pull it up right on your phone.
So there's no reason
That
that they are not completing this coursework other than they're not doing it. And you know what? If we enforce this and say, you're not practicing tomorrow night, you're gonna have a bunch of angry parents calling and saying, listen to the coach, why didn't you complete your stuff? you know, that's on them.
So do we kind of have a baseline of where everybody's at, who, like what we're missing from each coach?
Dave's trying to go through that.
So,
Again, the website's not real great for being able to get that information. It's very, very basic.
maybe volunteer sometime, like I don't have daily, time during the days, but, I'd be willing to.
I can
volunteer
too. I
sometime
help do the
to,
physicals and go through them, so.
help with that paperwork and tracking stuff down, when it's all day. I can do evenings, I can do weekends, whatever. Let me know, even this summer, whatever, I'd be willing to help out, I can make phone calls, track down paperwork, and help make heads or tails of it.
So Andrea keeps track of the clearances?
No, I,
Yeah.
Tammy does.
Tammy does. Okay.
And before they step on, I mean, I'm a PIAA certified coach. Before I'm able to step on the field on August 12th or 14th, the first day of preseason, I have to have my clearances in. Like, I'm
No,
like,
that's just part of the game.
and
they
we get
should.
emails, we get reminders stating, hey, look, well, you don't have your concussion, and we are responsible to doing heat-wise, which is not even a PIAA thing, but it's a district policy. So, I mean, before I step foot with my team, if I'm not concussion and cardiac and heat-wise certified, I don't hold a practice. Like, I've had athletic directors pull coaches off the field because they don't have their stuff in. It's kind of cut and dry. You're either going to do it or you're not going to coach.
Is there something that Carson does, maybe in their process of that works better, that we should maybe take into consideration?
It is just known that it's our, well, Leanne is a coach as well. She's a volunteer coach, and our volunteer coaches have to be certified. My husband's a volunteer coach. He has to do it. So it's just our responsibility, and we are very well aware that if we don't have that, then we don't coach. Same thing with a student athlete that doesn't have their physical turned in. They'll come to me preseason, first thing Monday morning, here's my physical. I'm like, nope, you've had months. Go ahead and go up to the AD office, and you can wait for them to come in and hand it in. It's just been known, like, we've had to pull people out of practices, and that was from our athletic director calling me on the phone, hey, so-and-so doesn't have their physical, pull them from practice.
So looking forward into the summer season for open gyms, I mean, do our coaches have to have those paperwork and programs completed for open gyms, or?
I would think so, yes.
I would say they should be purchasing.
So for,
Yeah.
they're good for a year, so I try to keep mine from August to August because that kind of covers, preseason starts for me about mid-August, so I'm good till the next August. Leah does winter, so she does her like winter to winter. So it kind of covers you for that whole year till you get started again.
So the other trigger could be those that are on file and filed. You track when the dates are, and you back it up 2 months and say you got 2 months to get this done, you got 1 month to get it done, not done more. Maybe we need to be a little more strict with this paperwork.
Sounds like it. It sounds like people have gotten,
Well, and as you said, you emails about, hey, email from the website.
The athletic director's secretary emails us, which, I know we don't have an athletic director secretary, but
Spreadsheet to track it all.
yeah, that's what we were talking about with the physicals. We would do the same thing with physicals. We would have an Excel spreadsheet, we have multi-sport athletes, so-and-so has this. And that's the other thing, the recertification process is also, going on all school year. So if you have someone going from football to basketball to track, they're recertifying 2 other times too, that you're collecting paperwork from them as well.
And the coach stuff's the same regardless of sport, so.
Right.
You have to track coaches
And
by whatever season they come.
And I do know-
well, as board, we could say, if you're coaching a winter sport, we want this stuff by this date. And if you're coaching a spring sport, we want it by this date. If you're coaching, we can say, this is our policy now. You have to have this in by such and such a date.
But if we wait till the last minute for to hire a coach.
Well,
That's a different scenario.
Yeah.
And that's what we look at the cracks, which is no fault, but,
But then they can recertify early, I assume, is that correct?
they can restart anytime.
So they could get.
It's not like it doesn't-
The annual
Yeah.
updates. that they
Yeah.
say.
And as soon as you log in, it'll let you take the certifications. It doesn't make you wait until, say, I'm August and I have to wait till August 16th.
Yeah.
And I do know union does require their coaches to be certified before they start open gyms, because Heather did mention that to me.
And they have that one meeting in the summertime, they put all their coaches through, and then that's their year that they track.
And they told all our coaches to come. Now, should we schedule something here if our coaches can't make that? Or do we say you're on your own doing this?
Last year, that's when we had our first big meeting with all the coaches, and all of our coaches didn't do it at that time that were there. I think there were maybe 4 or 5 people that weren't there, and Dave Sherman was gonna follow up with those folks.
I'm just spitballing here, but, why don't we consider, okay, I want to add staff, but this would be a very part-time position. Why don't we consider doing, like a secretary to the athletic director? The union has an assistant athletic director, correct? Isn't that what, so, but Timmy is the athletic.
Well, we don't get that. All I do is the checks, make sure the umpires and referees are paid.
Right, I'm talking about. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, we have, even if you had a part-time aide that works 3 hours a day, and you offered like 2 hours a day or like an hour and a half a day, you're not getting into a point where they would be, where we would have to be required to pay the benefits. I mean, I think it would be a minimal cost to maybe take some of these things off the bill and David, to, like I said, I don't, not that I, want to add a big expense in our budget, but, we don't have a trainer. This has been ongoing since Kevin left. How much more can we throw at people who are already here, including the nurses? I think.
How much can they work in a day and still be considered?
With the support staff contract, they can't average more than 5 hours per day, or else they will be entitled to benefits.
Okay, so if someone's a 3-hour, if we can find somebody, if they work 3 hours in the cafeteria or where else, we can still ask them to do 2 hours or an hour and a half if they, we can hire for that
What would
position.
that do for you and David as far as athletics go? A dedicated secretary or administrative position or administrative assistant type position for that hour to hour and a half a day.
Would be huge, because, I don't mind going and, busting chops over somebody not having their, paperwork done. But I need to know about it, and if I don't know about it, I'm being told. And if we can't, if we don't have somebody that just keeps track of all that stuff.
Would they have to work in the summer?
I think, well, I think it would be every day in the summer.
I don't think so. I think you could probably, if we schedule physicals, I know reunion is requiring somebody to go over there on physical day to go through the physical paperwork, and then they have like 3 healthcare providers coming in and doing the physicals. So, they usually ask someone to come in and just do the paperwork aspect. We actually offered that we could come over and do like vital signs and like the basic stuff until the doctor sees them, but I think that's only 1 day, and that's why I think Bill said more so once this sports
Yeah,
gets
it's heavy on the paperwork right before a season starts.
That's what
Just
I
like
was
this
saying.
spring, with all those student physicals and the recertification of physicals, it's heavy for about a week,
So
right
we
before
don't
the
need
season.
somebody before each vote.
So we really have 2 issues here. We have coaches' paperwork, we have students' paperwork. Now, when we created the health tech position, I think we were thinking that the students' paperwork could be kind of organized by the health tech. Not that we want you to take on any of the jobs, but just kind of gather that paperwork, check off on the worksheet. The coaches' paperwork is another thing, and I agree, it shouldn't be their responsibility. It should be, administration or whoever,
But there's still other paperwork that gets submitted by the student athletes as far as pools and, there's other paperwork.
And
that-
clearances.
right, and there's a checkoff.
That are
And
required.
if they're injured and they get
On
cleared.
both sides, yeah, but I don't know, that would be my solution that would make the most sense, given so many hands in the pot, we create a position that would be a one point of contact to work directly with David Bill to kind of minimize that things falling through cracks because it's spread in so many different areas.
Yeah, John.
So if we just totally give up on looking for an athletic trainer?
No, We're always looking, but there's nobody out there.
I mean, I haven't heard any talk about it, or at least.
We advertise it every year. We're always advertising and
And it's, so I sit on the IU board, this isn't just Tracy Valley, they have one point, there were 4 Clarion County schools that did not have that, but couldn't find one. So, you know, typically we would go to a healthcare provider like Clarion Hospital or Penn Highlands that may have a service that would provide contract out athletic trainers, and they can't get people that.
And Clarion does not do the program anymore. Like Clarion used to offer that certification, and my understanding is they don't anymore, right? They did away with that. So we don't have anybody local even offering the,
The touch food stuff too.
I don't know if Slippery Rock does or not.
Slippery Rock's still bad.
Does they?
So I was just reading the language in what the handout Tracy gave us. You know, it's like they have to be certified, et cetera, so we couldn't even have like a student intern or somebody going through a program to fill that position.
No, no, it's like a 6-year course.
It's a master's program.
Yeah.
So they even have to offer it as a bachelor's.
It's different than somebody being a physical therapist. There's more training, is my understanding, correct? Like physical therapy, there's additional training to be a trainer than just a physical therapist.
So at least at Slippery Rock, you go through the exercise science major and then you specialize in athletic training for an additional 2 years.
Well, I'm with Gary, I think we ought to, we should try to get some help on the administrative side. Just tracking paperwork and making sure it's done and scheduled the appropriate administrators.
I don't mean to be the finding, like, oh, that's just, that there's some things there.
I'm sorry,
Forms or is,
Patty, I didn't hear you.
if,
Oh,
on the athletic forms that have this, physical forms that come in, is there any concern with that?
not if they're employed by us, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe you guys can explain, HIPAA doesn't always have to do with what people think it has to do with, as far as, you know, it's for the distribution of private health information, correct? We can receive it, right?
And we don't disclose health information. So if we have somebody hired for that particular position, I believe the HIPAA would fall under
That's what I'm asking.
our district policy with HIPAA with any type of student information that
Yeah, we
you're.
wouldn't be able to disclose it.
I would imagine.
So they would have some, I would assume some type of confidentiality. That's what I was.
Yeah, when I worked at, UPMC Northwest, I wasn't a clinical person, but I still had to,
Probably have a certification.
yeah, we had to do the certification training and sign forms saying we will not disclose personal, at every level of information. It was as simple as that, it wasn't complicated.
No, I agree, but I was trying to make sure it wasn't just.
So I guess this is then talking about hiring, would probably be something we put on the agenda for next month.
You could, I'd like to do a little bit more backwork. I appreciate the discussion. There's a few things that I'm not aware of either. Let me do some research and I'm gonna add a motion next month.
Just out of curiosity here, we looked at the salary for an athletic trainer to see, are we competitive in the area? Like, how much are we off, like, competitively with the other districts around
It
us?
was 35, right?
I thought it went up. for the
At one
last year.
time, and that was, we were looking at paying the first year teacher salary, which was right around 50 grand, but now I hear they're, getting paid mid-70s, 80, 90, you know.
Well, mainly because it is a master's degree program and. Okay.
Okay, well, we appreciate you guys coming and we'll see what we can do to
Thank
support
you.
your concerns.
Thanks, Lee.
Then
Okay, we have one more presentation. These gentlemen have been waiting patiently. You'll notice on the agenda that we have on there to buy some equipment for West U, which would be for the tech the tech lab, and we're having a tech teacher. So they are here to kind of talk about the items that they can provide for that situation.
Great, thanks for having us, appreciate it, guys. I met Lee and David a few weeks ago, actually several weeks ago at the Education and Corrections Convention. And truly inspired, okay? What they're trying to do with the WSTU is important and critical. I just sat and listened to 3 or 4 stories of people not being able to find people to help them at work, things like that. And so where are we going to find these people? And I personally believe that at the WSTU, there's a lot of opportunity there to take people who don't quite have the skills to be productive members of society, but learn the skill to leave the WSTU and be a productive member of society and fill some of the holes that we're having. So, so what I've done with Ned and Daniel, who is actually out of country right now, we put together an impactful and diverse selection of tools, training systems, and just other type of opportunities to learn skills for the future, skills that are needed now, and give them a better chance of when they leave the treatment unit, that they have a better opportunity to succeed and not commit again. And for that, everybody's better off. Thanks. Ned.
Thanks, Paul. Can you hear me if I talk at this volume? I can't stand still when I'm talking, so it's easier for me if I'm moving around. I might come behind some of you people too. I'm Ned Sheeran. I'm Vice President of Allegheny Educational Systems. Paul's our account manager, runs the western side of Pennsylvania for us. Dan Walters, whom some of you have met previously, is out of country meeting his new daughter-in-law's parents, I guess, is what it is. Anyhow, he's very familiar on this. I've been brought up to speed in the last week, and I'm going to do my best to give you a quick overview of the program materials that we proposed for your WSTU experience not far from here. So real quick about us, I'm going to go as quickly as Kelly. I said I'd go quickly, and I'm going to speed through this for you. We've been around a long time. We're in business 45 years. That's the little logo here, 1979. Our main office is in Trenton, Pennsylvania. Some of you know that, just a little above Pittsburgh in Allegheny County. And what we do is career and technical education. We do products and services for CTE. We serve kindergarten through 12th grade, career centers, vocational schools, as they were called when I was in school. Excuse me, I'm gonna stop doing that. Colleges, universities, corrections, maker spaces, public libraries. We even do industrial training centers for some big companies like General Electric and the like. If it's got to do with career and technical education training, Allegheny's been doing that for 45 years. We do it in 3 states now. Although we were founded in Pittsburgh, we've moved into New York and New Jersey. And we've got 5 regions where we have our account managers, technical service technicians, and outside support people who live and they work in that territory. So that big red area right there is what Paul and Dan work. So in a nutshell, we sell equipment. We don't make anything. We don't inventory anything. We are the sales and the service face for the manufacturer partners and curriculum developers that we work with. So we do sales, but we also do services like budget planning, facility design, product installation. We do professional development training for teachers and technical support and after warranty care. And we work with about 35 different manufacturer partners in the career and technical education space. Some of them you've heard of, like Miller Electric, the welding company, and Stratasys, the big 3D printer company. Some that are fairly small, Forest CNC, right here in Forest County, makes some of the coolest CNC machines you've ever seen. So we propose 6 career areas for WSTU: construction logistics, design and fabrication, robotics and automation, which is the thing you're going to hear about a lot if you haven't heard about it yet in the news, industrial maintenance, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, which is HVAC, sometimes /R for refrigeration, and lastly, healthcare careers exploration. It'd be nice to have somebody standing at this podium in a few years, might want to do this program and say, I am the athletic director path, thanks to WSTU. So what I want to do here, just in about 5 or 10 minutes, is quickly show you some pictures and some career areas, some certifications in each of these areas that can be obtained with instruction and hands-on practice with some of the things that we propose in our packages. So construction logistics. These are the type of jobs that we're talking about. CDL truck driver, bus driver, boy, that would be a good one. Heavy equipment operator, warehouse associate. These are things that relate to these topics, and these are related fields to the programming that we propose. Some of the certifications that are associated with these. These are both educational, occupational, and industrial certifications that are affiliated with the programs that we teach. construction, OSHA, American Welding Society. So in the construction and logistics area, we proposed a number of different training aids. The big one here, and we brought one here. Anybody wants to stay after the meeting tonight, welcome to hop up in the seat and drive a backhoe or excavator or a city bus. It's a career exploration, but it goes beyond just exploration. It's actually a motion-based simulator that simulates the full thing. It does 31 different vehicles, from transportation, ambulance, bus, taxi cab, construction, backhoe loader, field harvester, through logistics, fork truck, forklift. This one device, with its motion-based simulators and swap-out controls, gives students a really strong foundation in a lot of different areas. So thinking about your budget, this was a cost-effective way to give students hands-on experience, fairly in-depth hands-on experience, with a lot of different types of vehicles in these areas. They're not exactly the controls that they're going to see. They're not going to get off of the simulator and hop in the back of a Caterpillar and start digging a ditch. But they're going to know, hey, I steer with my feet in this device. Or I know left and right goes this way, it's going to turn my boom, and I know to look behind me and honk the horn. So they're going to learn a lot of specific things. Thankfully, Brady got here a little early, so we got him up on the simulator as well. We also are proposing 3 specific pieces of equipment, and these were based on early conversations of types of jobs or careers that we thought the population that's going to be through STU program might likely see. Skid steer loader is the one construction device that most young people will get in first before they start operating a big piece of equipment. Forklifts and reach truck, and these are very big today in warehouses, especially these narrow aisle warehouses like Target and Walmart and Amazon, for example. Miller welding. So welding has got to be practiced under the hood. Miller has several different ways of practicing under the hood using computer simulation before you start striking an arc, burning up materials, and using up a lot of supplies, and scaring a lot of students. So we've got a whole package of these mobile type devices where with the screen you can actually see and you can hear the sparking, and then one full setup for the class to share as well. VR Sim, they do paint spray and powder coating, and again, through a virtual experience without wasting any paint or messing up the principal's car, students can paint cabinetry, they can paint car hoods, they can do aerospace. It changes the environment they're in. It goes from an army base into the back of a NASCAR garage. So that's VR Sim and their paint spray simulation. Design and fabrication, I'll go quickly here. These are the types of jobs that you see. These are some of the certifications that are available with these jobs and programs that we've done. We work with Roland, they're into design making, large format printing, printer cutters, and we propose several of these for the program. Laser cutter engravers, this is one of the most practical pieces of equipment in almost every shop that I'm in today. It cuts and it engraves and etches, it do circular things like cups and mugs, and pretty soon you'll be doing your own awards and handing them out. You don't have to send them out. This one device does an awful lot of work. For a CNC, a router, this is about a 2x6 panel router. CNC mill, this is a full-size mill, but it's mobile on a mobile cart, gives students experience with CNC turning. And 3D printer. We hear about 3D printer, we're not really sure what they are. These students will be able to learn to design and actually make small and actually large parts in multiple materials with a 3D printer from the biggest company in 3D printing, Stratasys. Robotics and automation. So it's a big field, but students can start early to become automation maintenance techs, logistics integrators, and even get a certification from the Smart Automation Certification Alliance by going through these programs. We're proposing an entire package of multiples. I think we have 6 of these robots with conveyor belts, different grippers, vision systems for students to learn the basics of robotics, and then one full-size industrial collaborative robot that the students will learn to program and operate in the lab. Again, on a mobile cart. This is something that's actually used in the industry today. It faces up against a CNC device. It loads and unloads the device. Industrial maintenance. a misnomer for a lot of people. Well, I don't want to be a maintenance tech. That sounds like I'll get my fingernails dirty. Maintenance tech today often needs a bachelor's degree. Some of the things that they'll be doing includes AC/DC electrical, relay control, lots of fluid power pneumatics, hydraulics, and culmination or capstone of the program that we've worked with a company called Amatrol with is the MSSC Manufacturing Skill Bus. Students will learn 61 different things from electrical, mechanical, fluid power, programmable logic control, and they will learn to do almost everything in a modern warehouse today that has to do with maintenance, from realigning a shaft, lubricating a bearing, reprogramming a PLC machine. HVAC, the guy who comes and fixes the condenser on your roof, or the installer at a new job site. EPA requires you can't even get on a job site and touch refrigeration so you know how to reclaim it all. So we've got several mobile carts that are going to teach basic refrigeration, the refrigeration recoveries for that certification, and then troubleshooting on a thermal system. And finally, and this is really just an exploration, allied health exploration. So certified nurse assistant, we need a lot of CNAs and medical assistants, and health techs, as well as EMR, emergency medical responder, EMT. These are both virtual. We're not going to be bringing blood sticks and phlebotomy into the lab, but through virtual reality, we can do an entire CNA practice program. So if one of the students says, I'm interested in nursing, CNA is the first certification that I can get, they can go through the bookwork, and before they go out and do a clinical rotation, they can do 37 different hands-on, from hand washing to greeting a client patient to changing a bedpan, all virtually and step by step, and practice those skills before they get to practice in the real world. And this is a brand new program from that same company that is now available. So EMT and EMR are two new certifications that this company is offering. This is the lab space that's been allocated for WSTU's vocational programming. We made sure to put everything that we've talked about here, save 3 pieces of equipment that are just too big to move around, on mobile and lockable storage carts. So everything that I was showing you there can fit in the main education space or in the classroom space, as well as in the storage areas. Some of those storage areas can even be used for educational purposes, although the idea, I believe, is we're going to move them out into the education space. So I mentioned the services we provide. We've already been working through budget planning with the board, as well as facilities design. We've got our in-house architecture agent who's been doing that. The next things that we're going to be working with you on are product installation, professional development instructors, technical support for after the installation, and then long-term warranty service. So all the products that I showed you will be fully installed and tested before we walk off the site. All the instruction for the teacher is available and will be provided on each piece of equipment, and that's also built into the price of all the packages we showed you. Technical support is available on the phone, on the website, as well as we have 3 technicians who work and live in Western Pennsylvania. So that technical support is available right from us at Allegheny. You don't have to call the manufacturer for this stuff. And lastly, we have the warranty enforcement. In some cases, we've extended the warranty past 3 years to make sure that this isn't going to be breaking and you're going to be on the hook. After getting this large grant, we don't want you to have to be nickel and dime together. We even put a supplementary warranty package together just for us to come in once a quarter and make sure everything's running okay, check everything out. So we want to make sure this is running for years and years. Questions? How did you do that? That was quick. Good. Questions? And we have a package here. It's got our catalog, and then it's also got all the quotes that you guys have seen. You may have seen before that you'll be looking at again tonight, and we're happy to answer questions for you. Yes, sir.
How long do you guys plan to come into every quarter? Is that a year, is that 3 years, 5 years, what's the?
I have it quoted out for 3 years for now, but it could be extended.
With technology constantly evolving, in 5 years, is this going to be grant-related?
I would say that pretty much everything that we are providing here is pretty leading edge. So I believe that the lifespan will be far longer than that.
One quote.
Well, let's see, the Stratasys 3D printer, right? 3D printers are probably the most active innovation space in this entire quote that we've done. Ford has 30 of those machines, and there's no sunset on taking it out of manufacturing. So it's a pretty robust and secure kind of investment, and that's kind of really what's important. On the robotic side, all of that stuff is ever changing. The hardware is going to remain the same. Software updates, all of that stuff, that'll just come with the system and with that. So you're really protected on that side of it.
And then software updates, they cost money, in 5 years, new software updates.
So some of our simulators, it's a subscription, and what we've done is we put those out for 2 years on some of the simulators like the Sim Spray and the VR Sim. It's just a subscription, you just re-up each year after that.
My question is for the teacher. What kind of training does a teacher need, is this new tech teacher gonna need? They're gonna have issues with running all this? What kind of curriculum are you gonna give them? Is it gonna be a curriculum that's laid out day by day? Can you explain that a little bit?
That's a great question. Let me ask you about the teacher. Tell me about the teacher's credentials and what have they done already?
They have a business computer and informational technology K through 12th grade certification. They've done some different robotics in the past. They've done work with STEM. 4 years of experience.
Perfect. So, and I ask that question because very often we see somebody pulled from the field to teach the class, and they struggle most with the educational side. You've got a professional educator, and they're highly versed in technology. If they're in business information systems, they're not going to be stuck on making the technology turn on. Where they will be stuck, as we were talking about, is, okay, I've never driven a forklift before. So that's where they're building curriculum on all the devices that we've done. And it's like anyone who's ever been a shop teacher has to stay a step ahead of the student. But the instructor will be able to get through all the content that the students will as well, because that content is built into the program. We don't want to leave the teacher to figure out how to do it on their own. So what we'll do is we're going to spend a day, at least a day, on every single piece of equipment that we bring in. So this can be a long training experience. We're going to recommend that once the curriculum lesson planning has been laid out, look, we're not going to do everything on the first day. We're going to focus most on that, and then we're going to be coming back into training as needed. Some of the training is also done by the certification bodies. So for example, MSSE, the Manufacturing Skills Standards Certification Body. There's training that body does that trains the teacher on becoming a certification specialist. That's additional training above and beyond how do I operate that. And we can also do that training for you as well. So after the installation, we're going to do basic training 1 day each. After that, it's going to be the training that's included with the curriculum that the instructor can get ahead of. And if it's the teacher you just mentioned, I think we're going to be okay there. And then it's becoming comfortable with the technology. This person's never thought of welding before. This person will put the hood on with the students and say, let's strike an arc. And they will begin to do it. But they'll have lessons that go right through. Brady, you did the 10-star. Day one, we're going to learn, I forget what you're doing, a horizontal scrape motion on an excavator. And it was fairly step-by-step. I'd say fairly basic on that first lesson.
It's still a couple steps of what the program is expecting you to do there.
Yes.
So, 2 questions here. In your forklift and your crane courses on there, do you offer the courses for any of the NCCO certifications on there?
The NCCER?
CCO, Certified Crane Operator courses?
No. No. The only certification that we're meant, I can drop.
So I guess I'm not asking you to give the certification, but I'm asking you, do you guys have the course within those programs there? For the
It is with this in the SimLog courses, which are the skid steer loader and the forklift and the reach truck.
So you guys have the NCCO courses throughout those?
No, we have an NCCER crosswalk to the National Construction Certification Education Resource Center which is a education/industry body that certifies educational programs, that they're valid against industry competencies.
Okay, and then
It sounds like a different body from what you're talking about.
they are two different things,
Yes.
yes. And then on the controls for your backhoe and your excavator, can you switch between ISO and HSE controls?
I think that it's ISO is the only controls that are included with the package.
No, those are HSE controls on there.
Oh, I said it backwards then. Do we have ISO controls? Well, we've also brought Matt Gibbon, who's our technical services supervisor,
No, they just have it.
just the agency. Okay. I'm not a heavy equipment guy myself. I know that I can switch the pedals out from 3 that go down to 2 that.
They're just different patterns of how the machine operates, and it's very important to learn both patterns depending on what the contractor has. I mean, because within my company, we have both machines. If you can't run one, you're not employed there. You have to run both of them.
You have to learn both of them, right?
Okay.
So I guess that brings up a good point. I don't expect anybody is going to be employable directly off of that machine.
Well, I would say too that like, it's a simulator, it's spatial awareness, it's understanding, you're in a machine, how it works. Yeah, the controllers are important. I can say for sure that 10 Star is an innovative company, and I would expect that if this is important to industry, they're already on it. And one of the big things that I say about 10 Star compared to some of the other simulators I've worked with in the past is, it's a multimodal system. And so you can learn a lot of different things on it instead of just a couple of things. And getting that motion memory, getting that understanding of what you're in a machine, getting that understanding of how things move, that's really, the nitty gritty of what simulation is for me, my understanding at least. If there's things that you want to do that are different, I believe that is something that can be added in the future. We'll have to check with these guys, but I'm pretty certain that they would not leave employed, in their curriculum.
So we talked with another company, and every 3 years they are updating the tower for the brains for the simulator here. The hardware and everything. Do you guys offer anything like that to stay up to date with what's happening with the hardware, or?
The manufacturers all for the hardware.
The hardware is replaced every 3 years.
No, we don't have anything like that. No. Maybe work out what we expect the budget would be and try to write a blanket proposal for that for you. As the manufacturer's representative, as opposed to manufacture ourselves, we work with whatever the warranty program or the subscription service that our manufacturers have. And if they don't have that program, we don't have it either. Okay. I did want to just say, this is a high school in Essex County, New Jersey. It actually acts as the construction simulation lab for a juvenile justice program. These are actually incarcerated youth that go to this classroom, and they're learning on the SimLog tools. SimLog does allow you to switch controls out. They don't look like the real controls, but the software gets more in depth, and you can do things like, let's turn this into a cat, let's make this a case. So it's more customizable, which is why we suggested it for skid steer and forklift. Again, the two careers that youth most often see first. In addition, this was a good example. This is Ocean County, New Jersey. The Career Center in Ocean County is working with the construction, actually a road and paving company right down the road from them. The vocational school has the simulators that they do, and then they go and they do off-site field trips to the construction lab. There's a video that goes with this. I'm going to send the PowerPoints up. If anybody wants to share this, click on that picture, it'll play the video. It actually is from the point of view of the employer, saying how excited they are to have these students who've been through a simulation lab before they come on and say, can I have a job? And with SimLog, they also offer OSHA certification and NCCER industry education certification prior to student graduating. So that comes with those SimLog products that I was showing. It's all over.
Also, another thing to consider with the 10 Star is, one of the main components of the package we put together for you guys is CDL, long haul tractor trailer. That's a different type of learning experience than a, piece of heavy equipment. So that's something to consider there too.
Ned, I think you did a much better job explaining than what I did last Monday. I appreciate that. But I have a question about the 10-star.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of different pieces of equipment that add up. Do we have all those pieces?
I think you've got 9 or 10 of them, and it's in the proposal. So there's several that are transportation related. I believe the tractor trailers in there and the buses in there.
And Ned, I'll confirm that for you. I know that we're gonna give you the whole library for 6 months free of charge. And in the quote, I believe it's, I'll show you exactly what's in the quote.
That can be switched around.
Yeah.
So if after this meeting you say, hey, we want to do this, but we don't care about the truck, what we care about is the backhoe loader, we can swap that out. So I think you've got several years of 9 different technologies, but you've got all that entire wheel that you saw.
We can pick and choose.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Yeah, the only difference would be if there's a special lever or pedal control that goes with it, and we'll just get that swapped for you as well. I left this picture in because I showed the zoomed in picture of it before. I backed out here because we were at the PACTA conference several summers ago. That's Pennsylvania Association of Career and Technical Administrators. And that was the first time we showed the PACTA, the 10-star unit. And there's an ag science teacher. She teaches ag science in Northumberland County. It reminds me a lot of Clarendon County. It's on the northern side of the state, northeastern side of the state. And she said, we want to teach a lot of different technologies, including ag. Can I bring my husband and our 2 sons in? We have a farm, and all 3 of them work on the farm. I said, sure, bring them in. And one had a John Deere hat on, and one had a Caterpillar hat on. And this was the first time we ever had a simulator. Like, oh no, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And well, they hopped right in. They said, whoa, whoa. They started bumping into the hay crib, and then they bumped into something else. Okay, I got it. Pretty soon, the youngest was loading silage bales onto a hay truck, backing up, and he's honking the horn saying, go away, and bringing the next one. So that was pretty neat to watch a guy who actually does that every day for his daddy. He jumped right on and he would start move that. So anyhow.
One last question for me, for the teacher, for assessment. What do they get?
Every single one of these programs, except for the design and fabrication, that would be the laser cutter, the CNC machine.
Right, but that's gonna be an obvious product.
Those are fabrication tools. All the things that I'll say are career readiness or career preparation, all of those have assessments built into the curriculum. They all have pre-test, post-test type format, and end-of-unit final exam assignments. And that's the way that they can say we crosswalk over to this industry certification that we're showing. I think we've already gotten you the early license to Amatrol's e-learning. If you go through any of those units in Amatrol's e-learning, you see pre and post assessment quizzes, final assessment exams on every one of those units. And that e-learning corresponds with the equipment that we're showing. So there's actually a little simulation, and it says pick up the 2 leads. You see 2 hands bringing up the 2 test leads across the resistor. And then it's okay, and they go over and they can do it right there. At the end, they have to answer questions in the e-learning.
So they do that on a computer,
That part can be done on a computer, and then the hands-on assessment is done right on the device.
and the teacher will get reports and
Yes, they all have learning management systems built in, and most of them are SCORM compliant. So if you've got a SCORM compliant LMS that you're using in the district, those grades can all be uploaded into the SCORM.
so this new teacher, we're not gonna overwhelm them.
Oh, you are
But
overwhelmed.
I mean, as far as they're gonna have they don't have to write curriculum, they don't have to write.
That's true. Again, with the exception, I'm just being very transparent. Those tools, those machines, the laser cutter, laser engraver, they're a lot of fun. We have a lot of projects that we can give you, and you're gonna have to be trained on how to use them, but there's no pre-test, post-test laser cutter.
Right.
Yeah, so the things that are fabrication tools, I'll say are a little different, but all the things that are career readiness, career exploration, and career preparation all have design curriculum with assessments.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
So the 10 stars, 113,786. How much is the actual hardware compared to the software?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I ask is,
It's actually broken out, so that's a question we can answer for you.
there's 3 screens there, and if one gets broken, it's useless, I'm assuming, you can't use all 3 screens, so what would the cost be to replace just a screen,
The nice thing is those screens are general consumer products. So you can probably go to Best Buy, get the same exact model and just replace it.
Yeah, that's the one example of something I'd say is very inexpensive. Most everything else on that is something that's custom made by Amazon. We can give you a complete part list with prices that you can have. If you want to do that kind of budget planning, it's not a bad idea. Say, let's plan to breakage after year 1. We're going to come to help you do inventory, several times a year, but plan for breakage, we can give you parts price list for all these. And it's a good question, because the hardware and the software are 2 different categories, for sure.
So the warranty, is it 3 years?
The warranty on, just the warranty, guy.
Depending on what product, most products come with a 1 year and then they're extended. Okay, so like say your 3D printer, okay? It comes with a standard 1 year, but we have 3 years added demo care, which is like literally top product coverage on that. And then what we have is we have our service contract where we will come and do maintenance and service on the machines. And what that'll do is that'll allow it to be maintained correctly and actually extend the life well past the warranty. But if anything happens, within the warranty period, since we're doing so many different items, each one has sort of a different warranty level. Some are 1 year, some are 2 years, some are 3 years. It just depends on which one it is.
So when you come to do the service or the maintenance on, is that something the instructor is involved in too?
Absolutely, yes.
How you guys?
Let's ask one of the technicians, hey, Matt, if you go out to do a planned preventive maintenance at a school, or one of your technicians does, is the teacher involved with that, or can they be if they want to be?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, is that a problem?
Actually, we do it all the time because, teachers like to tinker, they like to hack on things a little bit, and provided you're
Well,
not.
they can fix it, they don't want to wait for you guys.
Exactly.
Well, that's a real good point. We actually have someone who sits in an office, and they can actually beam in to see your screen as a computer, and they'll say, here's your error, I found it, let's walk through it together. But we want you to call us first, even though all of our manufacturers that we represent have an 800 number. We the only want you to call us, we put our label on there, please call us. We can answer almost all the questions on the phone on the first call. And if we can't, we've got 3 guys who live and work in Western Pennsylvania who come out and work with you. Yeah.
So a question on technologies that are not provided. So as far as, I know we spoke before about using vector, that's the CNC program. So we'll have to provide machines to run that, to train students. So we need to provide CAD machines basically.
Like the computer.
Yeah.
So what it is, I wasn't part of the project early on. Is the IT already something the district has?
Yeah, we have 2 guys here that.
I was just curious if there.
Yeah, because Vector is one of the design programs that we use when we're doing our CNC work. But we assume that you've got the computer unless you buy the computer with our CNC team.
Right, and that was my question, what will we have to provide for the program?
So most of the hardware that you're purchasing that is PC oriented, where PC is required to run it, say like the Forest CNC mill, that comes with a PC. But when you're doing just design work, say for your cut and print, for your laser, for things like that, you have to have PCs to do the design work and then to transfer it to the machines. Yeah.
Any other, like, as far as when you're interfacing with controllers or anything like that, you're providing tablets for that? Or
Not
as
most-
far as the machine itself, it's all inclusive, but not the educational part of it.
Correct. Yeah, like most things for like, say, laser cutter or for, say, the roll-in printed cut, 9 times out of 10, what you're doing is it's just like sending something to your laser printer. You serve it over to the machine boots it up, and then you set it up to print and cut, and it works. So it's just like, just like any other type of.
But the software needed to do that, you provide.
That's provided with the purchase of the equipment, yes.
There's an example where this company actually provides the PC with it preloaded with the software. This is a company that does not, and they assume that you've got the hardware and the software is running.
Now, will they give us that software to load on other machines, or will we
Yes.
When it's their software, they give you a license for it. When it's something like Vector, for example, or Corel Draw, which is one of the ones we often see used on the laser, you're gonna have to, and we give you a site license, a seat license for it, you have to buy additional licenses if you want more.
Okay. I'd like a little more information on it if I could see somebody out.
Yeah, I think that's fine, and we can do here's what we're providing, here's what's required but not included, and then if you say, how much is that? If we know, we'll tell you, if we don't, we'll send you to the Dell store and say, here's where we call that out. All right.
So can I clarify that when you said a seat license?
Yes,
Does that mean we have to buy one for each student that runs through that program? Or that means that we can have multiple students on one machine?
in general, each piece of equipment comes with a seat of the software that needs to run that.
So student A can use it today and student B can use it tomorrow?
That's the way it works.
Or now, student B can use it 15 minutes from now, you know what I'm saying? It's not.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it just, when you have a single software instance, it means it can be run one time.
One time.
With
They
one
don't keep
user.
stacks for multiple kids or whatever the teacher needs?
Usually the cache will just dump and the next person will get to use it. It doesn't really, you don't really set it up that way.
Okay.
The difference is the Amateur e-learning, which is the electrical, with power, the HVAC, all of that has e-learning that keeps track of each student that sits down and sits at that. In fact, I think we did a site license for learning, so that many students can do that one. It's a little difficult because we're drawing from different manufacturers and they all have slightly different policies, so there's no one good answer for all of this. And that's why when I said, yeah, I think the structure is going to be up because they're going to be moving from right brain to left brain. But we've been in business for 45 years because this is what we do. We want you to call us first. We want you to be successful. Somebody said they're not building many new schools, so if we lose a customer because we did a poor job, that really hurts us. We don't stay in business a long time. We want you to call us.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we thank you folks for presenting.
Thanks.
We're going to move on in our agenda. Do we have any board concerns this evening? Okay, not hearing any, we'll move on to the consent agenda. If you would take a look at the consent agenda and let us know if there's any item you'd like to pull to vote on separately. Not hearing any, or I'll kind of look. Is there anything you guys want to pull from the consent agenda?
Does letter J need to be by itself, the larger trip, or are we okay put that in there?
I'm sorry?
Does letter J need to be pulled, a little bit of a larger trip, or are we okay with that?
I think we're okay with that, but we can vote on it separately if you'd rather.
I'm fine with it all together, I just didn't know.
Okay. Everybody's okay with that then? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on any item you would like to have? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we've approved the consent agenda, and we'll move on to our treasurer for finance and purchase. That you got it. Well, when we get to them, we'll fill you in, yeah. We can do A through H. We can do A through H as one.
Stacy's not here. Your report's at the desk.
So we can do A through I.
Okay, recommend that, all discussions.
We all just say paying the bills. Paying the bills.
Recommend that we pay bills for a,
Moved in second. Is there any discussion that you need on anything there? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
discussion related to the CD for Farmers Bank, and the estimated amount of
The amount of maturity will be $473,509.99. And I did provide different rates for different banks, different variations. And if you're interested in the future, I can get Pliget and Flip in here to give presentations on bonds as well as money markets, everything that follows our local policy.
I think what was shared, I think it showed that the longer it's invested, the higher the rate of return was.
It's actually the lower, the rate,
The rate went up. What was it?
And I thought it
Just
was just the opposite.
I think we looked at the email was something more short term, at the high rate, and that way we could look a little bit more in depth and see what we wanted to do. I know that's not the conversation.
yeah, like farmers was offering 5.15 for 6 months. Next year bank for a 9 month was offering 5.25. PNC for 4 months was offering 5.01, and they decreased as a time.
Definitely seems like farmers have the better overall numbers.
They do because we're an existing client of theirs right now, so you will see that. My recommendation, if you were interested, was to use one of the lower timeframes, and then I can get presentations set up for you to look into, more money markets. I just couldn't get them to have presentations ready in a short amount of time.
That's okay. I mean, that's okay. We can wait on that. It's not like it's something that we had to have right
It'll
away.
just sit there until you.
Well, this amount, this CD matures at May 31st, so we could decide we would have to make a decision to either roll it into the 6 month or to take it out. So I guess that's.
So are you looking for a motion on the table to roll it for 6 months?
I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to decide who we want to go with and if we want to go with what term. So she has some direction.
Well, I mean, just looking at numbers here, farmers is definitely the best, 5.15% for 6 months.
So I'll make a motion to roll it to the 6 month farmers. CD of 5.1.
Second. I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the donation in the amount of $50 backpacks for success memorial. Holly Reynolds. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the designated assigned, unassigned balance, fund balance report is attached. So moved. Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, any discussion on that? Is there any clarification you need from me? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, next controversy.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so there's several budgets that were proposed, at different, villages, and I think we need to make that decision as to which we want.
Right. Yeah, so we've got to decide, need to have our, I guess we need,
Motion first, you want to discuss?
technically, we need to make a motion,
Okay,
then we'll have a discussion.
so my motion will be to go to the 7.1%.
Okay, and that was budget,
That was budget A.
budget A, and that's at 7.1.
And that would give a revenue of 19,140,759 with expenditures of 18,970,157.
What's the difference?
So put us in the black.
Yes.
By 100 and
Yeah, a little over 100,000. We're
100,000 black.
not in the red. Yeah, no deficit with that. And I can go over, budget B was approximately half of the index, which is around 3.55%. Revenue coming in with those millages would give 18,994,000 $18,664. Expenditures are the same for each budget, that's what we have, so again, the 18,971,57. And then budget C,
What was the difference?
that one is,
I'm trying to pull it here.
no, that was, that's,
That's not one.
oh, that's, that's, putting us over roughly $20,000.
The budget be
20,000 in the black.
just like that.
Yeah.
So that would balance our budget.
And then what, C, what's
No,
that?
budget B just puts us over like $20,000.
Yeah,
Budget C is what it would take to get as close to balance as we can
which
get.
one, what percent?
About 2.6.
And we were,
And that would be putting us at 18,978,684, and our expenditures are 18,971,54. So it puts us over like $700. That's as close to balance as I could possibly get, even at a three.
okay.
And to be clear, that budget also includes a grant that ends. If that money goes away, unless there's another grant that steps up and takes that spot.
The West Two
So the West Two grant is balancing this budget currently.
Yes.
And if that budget goes away next year, then you have a deficit and another deficit.
But some of the
Unless
stuff
there's
goes,
something that goes away.
some of the stuff goes away. A lot, we won't have stipends and the extra $8,000 goes away if there's no grant provided by the state. So what we would have to do at that point, and I believe it's, you tell me if I'm wrong, I believe what we're anticipating coming in from what we bill other schools, we'll pay for the teachers, et cetera, at West U.
We still have cover the student, or, I'm sorry, we still have deficit then,
No,
most likely.
no, not necessarily, because what we're billing is gonna cover the teachers and the admins and stuff that are up there.
Yeah.
They won't get their 8,000, they won't, and there won't be any stipends for AC staff if the grant goes away. And we wrote that into,
I think we're talking about two different
Okay.
deficits. We should be budget neutral at West Two. Down here, we'll still accrue
Right.
that ongoing.
okay, I was talking about West U, I'm sorry.
We've got a couple of different.
That's where I was going, is that you still have an approval of debt, deficit spending, deficit spending.
If we go tax increase to balance this year, we don't know if we'll have a deficit next year, do we?
That's all.
Right, right.
And inflation, and.
And
insurance.
let me add cyber school reform as well. And then the fair funding formula as well. We've got a lot of moving parts out there right now.
Right, so we don't
And
really
not-
know.
Yeah, none of it's been
So-
approved.
So being in the black, $100,000 isn't that much if all these things could go, you know. Like I get it, we've been in the red the last, how many years?
Since 2018.
7, 8 years, and we raise taxes every year, I get it, but we finally raise taxes enough to get in the black for once, good for us. Like I said in our meeting, I get it, it's basically pennies on the dollar for taxpayers, but we need to get it back off this curve and get ahead of it, because eventually, if the trend keeps going, yeah, we can lower taxes in a year or two. But when the economy's going and with all these things we don't know about, I feel we need to raise the max. And especially with the grant going
For
away,
me, it's the balance on the unknown.
yeah.
That would be your benefits and your retirement.
And with we talked about some parking lot updates. I mean, you know, there's a lot of updates, and you know, we can't put Band-Aids on everything forever. So we need to
I
get
guess
one-
I'm looking at it from the elderly and those people who are on a fixed income in our district. They're getting slammed every which way they turn
We
with
all are.
increases. I know, but you have a good job and you get raises every year.
Of course, and I've worked hard for that job.
I agree with you, but I'm trying to think about those of people in our, our community who don't have that option
Yeah.
because of, their age or.
And just so it's clear, my raise isn't to make up for, we're still losing every year with taxes and.
Oh, I agree,
the
but
economy, so.
I agree, and they are too, so,
I feel like
I'm just trying to
others
think.
Agree,
if we can, I could stomach more of a tax increase if we balance. I don't know, I'm just looking out for,
I agree, a balance would be great, but, James, how much would it cost if the AC system went out? $100,000?
Probably at least 100, yeah.
There's your plus 100 right there. It's one little thing, if it's one big thing, or many little things, that money's, we're back to zero.
oh, I agree with you. I'm just thinking of the public.
And I get it, I mean, no one wants to pay more taxes.
How many more years do we have till we lose our surplus? At the rate.
Our fund balance?
Yeah.
If we were to continue operating in the deficit situation that we've been in the last several years.
If we would have continued, like 25, 26, if that's what we were going with.
So we're about a little less than 2 years out.
But, you know, this year, having the West two, you know, and not being incorporated in that budget, not seeing such a big deficit this particular year, and then looking at next year and hopefully getting things, you know, you can try to build that fund balance back up. Like taking away from it, so that.
I think as a district, we've been fiscally responsible. The struggle that I have is with the outside cyber costs. We're paying over $19,000 for a general ed student and over $44,000 for a special ed student. 32 kids out, 39 kids out, depending on the year. We're anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million. And just so that everybody's aware, cyber school is not free. There's nothing free about that. And that's what we need to continue to push our legislators for cyber reform. We could save close to $500,000 if Governor Shapiro's proposal of $8,000 a student would be passed in this year's budget.
We sat in on a couple meetings this last week with some representatives, and it wasn't very promising as to what they were telling us. And in fact, the one said, just so you know, all the Republicans have said, we're not voting for the budget, we won't vote for it because we didn't have any part in creating it. And so right now, it doesn't sound like we're gonna have a budget in July.
Nor does it sound like there's a whole lot of momentum on cyber reform.
No.
My next question is, do we have numbers to show what, like, do we know what, like, how much per person is it going, what's the hardship gonna be if we go to the max for most people?
I think Andrea sent us all that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I did send the millage rates and the percentages that, that would cost. So we went up 7, the full millage. The current mills for Armstrong County are 33.42. That would actually be decreasing to 34.32. Butler County is currently at 79.90. It would have the most significant increase to the 92.25. Clarion County is currently at 53.60. It would decrease to 51.67. And Anglo County would increase from 14.88 to 16.40. So 2 of our counties will be going up and 2 of our counties will be going.
And it's so hard to understand because of just how that all, the rebalancing law.
Legislative thing, like, so, you know, we have people, we have them reach out to their local legislators about the multi-county tax rebalancing for the district. It hurts everybody.
In April, when I went to Harrisburg, the biggest issue I had was talking to legislators about the refunding formula. It only affects us and a handful of other schools, so they really don't care about it.
Right. It's not a big issue that can be covered in a cap.
Yep.
So that's probably not gonna change in the near future, and neither is the cyber school costs. So those 2 issues are not gonna change, which would really benefit us, but. So I don't know, money-wise, and I can't find the email, can you find it, Carrie, about, it was a couple $100, $300 per person that, if we went to the 7th?
I think it was the title of the taxes, Andrea.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look.
I think it would change per county.
It affected each county differently, so.
Yeah, it's gonna, I know it's different per county. I found it, I think. These are the increases, but I don't see an amount.
I didn't see any amount.
I think you said those to us individually, I thought.
No, there were just each, county percentage increases as to what percentage they could add on their taxes.
Right.
That's so good, that little. So it's that chart right there. I'm not sure, well, yeah, you can, my eyes so good.
Armstrong, 2.69 increase. Dollar County, 15.46 increase. Clarion, 3.60 decrease. Venango, 10.22.
We increased on
Yeah,
so what,
Okay, any other discussion? So the option now is we vote on this. If it gets voted down, then we talk again and have another motion. But right now, we're voting on increasing to 7.1%, with those numbers that she gave us. Budget A. Okay? Any other discussion we need? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. John, you're not? Anybody abstaining? I think you can.
Sorry, what was that 7.1?
Yes.
I want to vote for that.
So you're an aye?
Who seconded that motion?
I think it's.
Eric did.
Okay, so motion carries because we have 7 yeses and 2 noes, correct? Okay. All right, we got that handled. Now, we're on to N, Patty. Pardon?
Armstrong is mine.
No, I think she's giving that to Tammy. If you wait a second.
I was just making sure she got that total, expense budget number, the 18,970,157.
Yes.
Okay.
And you got the budget amount, Tammy?
Budget amount was.
19 million,
140,750.
that's what I wrote down. Is that correct, Andrea?
No, that is the budget amount that I gave you, the 18 million.
Oh, okay, 18 million. Yeah, 7,157 is the budget.
Yeah, that's the total, that's our total expenditure, that's what we're spending now, yes.
So that's the second line.
Yes, the revenue is 19,140,759.
So we're good there? Now, could you help Patty with those mills?
So it's the, raising it in the column, right?
Yeah, Armstrong,
Armstrong, compared to 34.42.
34.32.
Butler is 92.25. Clarion is 51.67.
Yes,
Venango is 16.40.
yes.
$5 per capita, 5 per section 679, $5 per capita, 511%, earned income where applicable, 1% real estate transfer tax, 2% discount or applicable and 10% penalty.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I think we've already had it, but. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And then the next one is, I believe, the attachment that is on the homestead app.
Yes, the homestead farmstead exclusion, I think it's sitting in everybody's release. So the amount, would be $288.05. This is up from last year. Last year it was $241.17. We were given $415,012.60. That's what they're projecting to give us for next year, as opposed to last year, $352,711. So, they're giving us, $62,300 more in exclusions to pass along to the taxpayers. And you'll see that in that,
So that might help ease the
Yeah.
tax increase then.
it does help with an increase, yeah, for sure.
If you have a homestead, farmstead exclusion.
Yeah, if you apply for the homestead farmstead and you're approved for that, yeah, definitely want it tax year.
Right, and that's passed. That had to be,
Like, if you were approved for that once, because everybody has to apply for that. correct?
yes.
So if you're approved for that once, you have to apply every time.
I think you have to apply every year.
Yes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
should
they
get
apply.
an application in the mail.
I don't think you do, because I've never applied before until this year when we got.
And
things
some people, their tax preparers do that paperwork for you and have you sign it when you have your taxes done, and they send out.
If you do yourself, you're on it.
Right, yes, yeah. But you should complete that application every year.
Okay, do we have a motion and a
Yeah, we have a
second?
motion and a second, I motion.
Okay, all right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so we can vote on this all as one item.
And that's what I was thinking as well.
Yes.
So with the demonstration that we received.
Yes. Unless you want to pull something out, but we can vote on this, and you don't have to read all that, Patty, because it's all there. But we can vote on it as one item.
So I would like a couple items pulled out. The first four items that like pulled out totally separately.
Okay?
We put the HVAC stuff on refrigeration down, is that right? The ones, how about I start with the ones that are pulled and so people.
Right, please.
Understand what's being pulled. So we're going to pull the 10-star simulator pack for the track excavator, long haul, cart, and tractor in the amount of $113,000. We're going to pull the tabletop skid steer simulator software, tabletop controls, $18,159.65. The SimLog long reach, the simulator software, tabletop controls, $23,909.75, and they quote on the SimLog tabletop Gold Coast simulator for $26,294.71. We're gonna pull those and discuss them separately.
Yes, we can vote on the other ones, and then we'll make a motion for each separate one of those four.
So with the remaining ones that are not pulled, I will approve that we, figure out how much we spend.
Probably, yes. We're gonna have to change that and figure out. Linda's calculating that for us.
How much we save. Well, yeah.
So we're pulling out the top three.
Top four.
So your total amount should be 524,316.22.
So I got,
That's what I got.
Okay, so say that again, please.
$524,316.22.
So consideration to approve the purchasing of the items 5 through there for $524,000, $524,316,022.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on those? All those in favor?
Can you discuss it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
especially with you guys, with you pulling this out.
Sure.
If this is like money that needs to be spent, so I'd like to hear opinions on, the ones you specifically pulled out, but, also, have we looked into other ways that money can be spent on vocational education? If.
Sure, so I pulled those out for a reason. So last Friday, and it was a very last minute meeting that was put together. Me, Kelly, and David sat on a Zoom call with another sales representative from another company similar to this, like Ford versus Chevy here. Kind of very similar, make the same thing, but they're different in their own ways. So another concern that was brought up during that meeting was taking somebody from the classroom setting, like we're planning on hiring this evening, and it's making them teach a trade that they've never done a day in their life. And I thought about that the past couple of days. And I understand there's curriculum behind it and there's classroom guides behind it, but unless you've had somebody in the classroom teaching them that's done it for several years, I don't know how well it's gonna work out. And I know that these are just an aids to try to get the kids' feet wet to see if they're interested in a subject or not. But if you're not gonna get their feet wet in the right manner, are we doing more good or harm?
I think that we have two different thoughts here. First of all, my understanding is we're putting this in as a training tool to let them understand what opportunities they have and to let them see how that works. We are not training them specifically to get this job. This is just to give them an overview. And if they like it, then they will have skills that will put them ahead of somebody when they go to a specific training facility. Yet the equipment we looked at was awesome. It was top notch. But she admitted to us that to teach it, you have to be a skilled heavy equipment operator. So it's like two different, I don't know that we're setting up like the equipment that we looked at, Brady, I could see like you had it in your union shop, correct? So it's there, you've already got the job and they're training you on that.
They take the schools though to kids to get their feet wet to see if they're interested in doing that though.
Right.
I mean, they have local trailers that can do that.
Right, and that's good, they get to examine, but if we're gonna actually bring a teacher in and work with these kids and just let them at least try it, and if they like it, they'll work through it, and they will get some experience. We're not gonna say you're gonna walk out of here and you're ready to walk into the heavy equipment field.
Right.
But I don't know, that's not our purpose, is
Right,
it?
and I totally get that. I wanted to hear the discussion, for my own education.
So there's a couple other reasons I pulled those out. The program for the forklift and the cranes don't offer the NCCO courses, and CJ can attest to this as well. It's a very common practice on job sites by contractors and insurance companies. That you have to have a CCO requirement to run any type of crane, give any type of crane signals, or run any type of forklift. And there's different types of forklift. And so if we're not going to show those kids the courses you have to go through and let them practice on the online systems there, I don't know that it's the best. And the fact that you can't change easily between the two different types of joystick patterns between the two machines, that's a big issue for me. Because I run both joystick patterns on a daily basis sometimes. I wouldn't be where I'm at if I could run both of them.
But the other ones we were gonna buy, they quoted us, you couldn't change, remember, because we didn't want to have anything that could be picked up and thrown across the room.
It's all a software thing. You click a button, you go from pattern A to pattern B.
Okay.
And that's the other thing I like about you can change out those joystick handles here, which is great, but in a corrections facility, the ones we looked at, you couldn't change them out. They're all bolted together, they're not coming out easily at all. And the other thing that I kind of liked was every 3 years they have a program. Now it's an additional cost, but they offer it at least to change out the hardware. So they'll come and change out your hardware, your computer systems, your brain chip computer every 3 years to stay up to date, as well as updating your software.
Now, see, I don't remember them talking about that, and they do that for free?
I think in the first 3 years was included in that, but then after that, it was another fee, it was another service you had to pay for, but it was offered to change those out to stay up to date with it. The company we talked with, they do all of their designing in-house, they're the manufacturer in-house, they do everything themselves, they're not necessarily a salesperson for another company. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, I'm not. But that's just some differences that stuck out to me, and so I think if we're gonna spend close to $1 million on something, it needs to be pretty top of the notch.
Brady, I have a question about how long does it take to get that certification that?
So that CCO or what certification? So,
Yeah,
you have to do it all in person. You could do it within a couple of days if you're pretty experienced at it. So if you spend, a couple of weeks or months on here, you could get it in a couple of days. Whereas if you have no experience at all, it's going to take you a couple, I'd say, weeks, if not a month or so.
We have the CCOs, Grant?
Yep.
I was the one training, right? And the forklift training, I know in certain places you have to be trained by their facility to operate forklift, or, so I get it, I like it, it's good technology, it's good to get your feet wet, but like Grady said, if we're gonna spend $706,000, I'd like to get the best bang.
But we don't have any pricing on that other stuff yet, right? So we don't really know what it's gonna cost,
When does that money have to be spent by?
like June 1st.
June 30th.
June 30th, I'm sorry. The only thing that, like I said, that concerned me, and I'm just thinking it as a teacher, I don't want to throw this new tech teacher in there, and she has no clue, and they don't have anybody to train her.
They want to get somebody from the field, like the career center, to
Yeah.
run this.
Yeah.
Like
I saw,
CPO.
there's like lessons on there for like the excavator lessons of, you can go out and do this, and, start with very basic, which I still feel someone who has had the experience to do it would still be a learning curve for technology, But the experienced person in the field, no problem, teaching someone, but teach someone technology versus having someone who has never been on anything, forklift, excavator, dozer, doesn't matter what it is, to try and teach them, okay, you need to move this joystick to do this. Well, if you don't know what the real reason for it to do it, you have to move the joysticks.
But isn't that what it does, the simulator, doesn't it teach you that?
Yeah, but I'm saying for the teacher.
Right, but the others is gonna be the same either way, so are we thinking
Yeah.
we don't wanna do this at all?
I need to take to have $700,000 spent and it becomes a paperweight because no one knows the best way to use it. Don't get me wrong, you put me on a skee ball machine, I can put balls up there, but if I was a professional skee ball person, I wouldn't game. If that makes any sense, only really does, but someone knows what they're doing will be better at teaching versus,
But we can't do that,
I agree.
so it's either then we put this in or we don't.
Super thought.
Just keep in mind that this is grant money. It's not our money. We're going to send it back if we don't.
I guess I look at it as a feet wet kind of thing, and if it piques interest, most of these kids aren't looking, they're not looking at any kind of long-term. And if this can spark something in, even if we can spark it in one or two kids, to get them excited about becoming gainfully employed in one of these areas, then, maybe this money will.
I have a feeling that a couple percent are gonna take to this and make it their baby, and the rest of it gonna be, well, this is playtime.
But just keep in mind too, that that's not a bad thing that we're engaging the students.
Oh, I
It's
agree.
a positive reinforcement.
My other concern is we can't get our students here to use this technology. I know there's a lot of concerns about it, but if it's under our wing, we should be able to have our students use it. I mean,
I don't think we want our students going to WSTU.
Yeah, we can't.
which I agree, but I just wish there was a better way that we could encompass everything, because if, I can tell you now, I spent 4 years in college for nothing, because society made me do, and this is a little rant, but if I had this at my fingertips when I was 16 to 18 years old, I guarantee I would be where I was at now.
And if we had the money, we'd put it in for here, but unfortunately, and it's sad, because we're looking, I guess I better not say anything. Well, we're looking at a population who really is not, it's a small, minute portion, but is our goal to try and help them, I guess? We're trying to we're trying to get their feet wet.
To go out and actually.
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna inspire a lot of them, but it may inspire a few.
let's hope it does more than that, but, you know,
We just,
I would hope so too.
we're just trying to look around, maybe go to a trade school or move on into the trade field.
right, but at least if they go, then they've got a background that they're gonna be a step ahead.
This takes one time, they're on here saying this is a good point.
Yeah.
So, they're not gonna run out.
No, and I'm,
Certified.
no, and I understand that, and I wholeheartedly agree we need to spend the money on these simulators without a doubt in my mind. I just think, from my experience, from the trade I come from, I think that there is a better option that's more realistic, that has more industry standard guidelines in it than this does.
And I would agree with you
We don't have time to look for it.
if it would be something that our staff could handle. I'm just afraid it's gonna sit up there and do nothing, because we won't have somebody qualified, or some, not qualified, but somebody, yeah, but this has a whole curriculum package that talks them through. They told us they could write us curriculum, but it would be extra.
Can I add a little bit of the thinking with some of the things that were chosen? I've made a connection with the shipyard in Philadelphia, which is consistently looking for employees. And we have about 4 pages of pre-apprenticeships that our students could apply to when they left. So that's a little bit of what the materials that we were looking to bring to them, was trying to help prepare for maybe going back to Philadelphia, with thinking that our goal is a diploma to a vocation. So like you're saying about getting your feet wet, we're thinking get your diploma, prepare for a vocation, rather than the alternative, which is recidivism and coming back into the criminal justice system. So, you know, if some of them have to be broken out because there's a better alternative, that is what it is. If we could move forward with anything, because we do have students who are prepared to take that next step. And some of the thinking and the way that you saw it broken out in that room is that it is a room that used to be dormitories, and so we could secure everything in the separate rooms and make sure they're locked, they're taken care of, you know, in case there was ever a time we were moving something out and a different student body population could use them, you know, they would be safe. We're keeping them safe, we're keeping them locked up. Actually, they're double locked, because you have to get locked in the room and then locked off to the side where we're keeping them. So I did put a lot of thought into how we would secure them for the future. But again, I was looking at, you know, shipyard, I've talked with them, they said they would take employees, you know, if they have a diploma and they're prepared to work and have some of these skills. And then pre-apprenticeships.
Is there any, so I know that there's a lot of tabletop items on here. Is there any concerns safety-wise, being that they're tabletop without like grounded, or?
Well, I think that's why there was a lot of furniture included with this, because we were talking about moving them in and out of the rooms and having them secured on the furniture.
Okay.
But also my thought was, when they're coming in to train, they're not just training our one teacher. Remember, we have other people there for rite of passage, because we wouldn't let the one teacher back in the classroom by themselves. And they've offered to train whoever would show up for the training. So not that the rite of passage person would be leading the instruction, but helping maybe to support the student through learning these skills. Because we have classes of, you know, 8 to 10 right now, but that means you'll have more than one person in the classroom, adult. So I think that's helpful too, with the safety information and making sure that, you know, we're all using it properly. I was particularly interested in welding, I mean, for the reasons that I've listed here. I think that's great. So even if there were some we could vote on, we have students who are ready to participate.
So quick question, Lee, and correct me on this if I'm going back to Mays, where they did have some vocational, I think, electrical and something else when we got our tour, but only certain levels of students who had been there for a certain period of time were able to participate in those vocational exercises. Is it similar here where, you know, you're not gonna take a kid in his first week here, who's still adjusting to this new environment?
So in my mind, we're prioritizing, like you're saying, who's going back there. So we have 4 students who are already graduates. who are not actively working on anything. And then we have a handful of students who are near graduation. And so, right, those are students who need to learn another skill. We recently, technology was able to open up some websites for me where they can do exploration of careers. So we're doing that in the meantime. You know, what am I good at? What would I be interested in? But that's, again, all on the computer and not necessarily teaching you a skill. It was just my intent to step into, you know, the next learning that we could do, which would be some of this. But, right, we have anywhere from, you know, very young 9th grade to kind of almost 20-year-old. So we would need to prioritize who was safe and who was closest to employment to go back to that room.
Just a thought, how portable, how movable is this stuff? If let's say, for CJ's purposes, let's say we have the month of October, could we bring it down to our shop area and let our kids experience it? Or is that asking too much of a piece of equipment?
We take this to conferences, meetings like this all the time. And it's designed on heavy duty casters. These wings fold in, or they come off just tight. And it's 30 inches long, so it'll fit through standing. So we have a lift gate on our van for them. You go in, take the next one, go down.
So the piece of equipment we would get would be similar to that.
We're looking at it.
Okay.
But it can be bolted down
At there.
yeah. So it goes back to how, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, I'm just thinking, like you said, for a regular, for our students, it would be awesome to let them
Yeah,
experience. So could we work out something? She doesn't have that many kids ready for it, or we skip something, we give a month with, you know, I'm just wondering, whatever we purchase, if that would be an option for
We
us.
can talk to Mr. Graff about picking a month that he would want to have it in the
Yeah.
shop.
Maybe we could work that out. I mean, there's no reason why with grant money we couldn't do that, is it?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
And that would be my concern. I just said to CJ, is would our students even be able to use it given that it is grant money?
Yeah, I don't, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess, you know, you could do the old theory that ask for forgiveness later. All right, so we need to at least vote on this first motion, which is all the items except the top 4. Okay, so our, those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. So now we'll make a motion for each of the individual items, if you would, Patty.
Motion to accept the quote for the star simulator for the excavator or our time for the amount of $113,786.22. That's it. So good.
Okay. Any other discussion you want to have? We've kind of already had a lot, but. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay, so I think the motion carried. All right, we'll move on to number 2.
2 is the motion to accept the SimLog skid steers and motor software simulator tabletop controls in the amount of $18,459.65.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Motion to accept the SimLog tabletop bridge simulator software simulator tabletop controls in the amount of $23,909.75. So
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries.
motion to accept the SimLog tabletop simulator software and simulator tabletop controls in the amount of $26,294.75.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, just so I'm certain on this, Brady, you opposed 3 of them, and that second one is not.
Okay, we're gonna move on to personnel. Carrie, would you do personnel?
Sure. Under A, consideration to accept the letter of retirement from Karen Patrick effective May 31st, 2024 as attached. Karen has been an employee of the district since September of 1996, so
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Under B, consideration to approve advertising for a K-12 grade music teacher for the 2024-25 school year, so
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All
So,
those in favor?
but
I'm sorry. Yes.
so we talked about this a little bit last Monday during a workshop, but could we change this at all to have it so one music teacher's at the high school, one's at the elementary, for the sake of scheduling and logistics wise?
Well, we can do that internally because the certification's K through 12.
Okay,
It won't matter.
okay,
Whoever we hire can teach from K to 12.
okay,
Is that okay?
that's fine.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
under C, consideration to accept the letter of retirement from Tracy Quayle effective July 24th, 2024 as attached. So
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
D, consideration to accept the letter of retirement from Nina Horton effective at the end of the 2023-2024 school year as attached. So
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Is that Jeff now saying the second, or is it CJ? It's CJ.
I'll talk about it.
Thank you.
under E, consideration to accept the letter of retirement from Linda Miller effective June 1st, 2024 as attached. So
Second.
Thank you, CJ.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
F, consideration to accept the letter of retirement from Mary Robin effective at the end of the 2023-24 school year as attached. Mary has been an employee of the district since July of 1997.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And we need to, and we can send a thank you to all those for their years of service here at AC Valley and all the great work they've done while they've been here.
G, consideration to approve an advertising to hire 3 full-time elementary teachers for the 2024-2025 school year. So
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
H, consideration to approve advertising for a secondary mathematics teacher for the 2024-2025 school year. So
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
Does that include the extra certification for a higher level math classes?
You're certified
Would
in
that go, yeah?
your math certification covers all those courses. That doesn't necessarily mean you're good at some of those, but your certification covers all of those. So I think that'll be a point we need to determine as we interview. Same thing with what Brady said, when we get the music teachers, they have different strengths. So when we interview, I think we need to decide ahead of time if we're gonna have them do high school or elementary, or, because they may not.
Buys time until that can be decided, correct?
I'm sorry?
But approving this buys us time to figure that out.
Yes, because the cert is math, high school math. There's no, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm correct. When you're certified high school math, you can teach any math.
Secondary math.
Secondary,
There
yes.
is the middle school math, or what they call junior high.
Right. So this is a secondary math, so they can teach calculus and physics and all that stuff. By degree, anyway.
Not physics. Not physics.
Right. Did I say physics? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a science course. Long night. Let's say the degree says they can teach it. Now, whether or not they can is another question. Okay, so all those, did we already vote? I've lost my train of thought. Okay, so we're gonna move on to letter I. Consider, oh, okay. That's what I said. Did we vote? And you're like, yeah, we voted.
we approved, or
Okay.
we made the motion.
Okay, all those in favor? carries.
Letter I, consideration to accept the letter of resignation as junior high volleyball coach for Nick Ashline as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve advertising for the vacated junior high volleyball, coaching position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Make sure whoever we hire gets their clearances and all that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the director of education job description as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve hiring Kristen Thurber upon receipt of all appropriate documentation as director of education at a salary of $86,500. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
Is that correct, Dave?
That's correct. You got it. Karen.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, we interviewed, we had some really good candidates that were fully qualified, and I thank the board members that came in for that second round. I think that we have a really good candidate here in front of us.
Does
It
this
was very
individual,
difficult.
does this individual seem like they're gonna be here long term?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay. Consideration to approve hiring Erica Smith at Master Step 4 upon receipt of all appropriate documentation for the newly formed position of K-12 Business Technology Teacher at the WSTU facility at a first-year salary of $65,040, with future salary increases to be negotiated with the EC Valley Education Association. This position is approved as 183 days, being Monday through Thursday, for a school year dating from August 1st of each year to the following June 30th, with the first year salary prorated to the number of available school days from the first workday through June 30th, 2024. This position is hired contingent on the continued need and operation of the West 2 facility. This position shall further be contingent on the individual executing a consent and acknowledgement to a future decrease in salary in the event the individual's employment changes to a position with lesser pay. All other terms of the agreement between Allegheny and Clarion Valley School District and the Allegheny Clarion Valley Education Association effective July 1, 2023 shall apply to the position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Do we know when she started?
She's working at Reddit Passage right now. She'll have to put in her 2-week notice. I'm gonna call her tonight, and I'll work with Jim Town up there, program director, to see when we can transition.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I'm sorry, Lee, have you worked with this individual before?
She just started with Rite of Passage, but she has all her training done, which is great news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be any hard feelings between Rite of Passage?
I've spoke to Jim Town about this, not in this particular situation.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter N, consideration to approve the following seniors' number of hours and cost share per student with regard to the Meritor program for the 2024-2025 school year as follows. This is paid using Title IV funds. Co-op working 3 hours and 7 students each having a cost share of $2,000. Jaden Corson, Peyton Duffy, Olivia Hartzell, Sebastian Lynn, Ella Myers, David Benson, Ava Snyder. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? And these students usually work down here, don't they, with the elementary
Yeah.
students?
They've been coming down past year, and the high school kids are tutoring the elementary kids and working on them.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
It's a wonderful program.
Aye.
Involved with it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Grassroots effort. That's great to hear.
Tell them we'll have a position here in 4 years, or we'll need them sub at least. Maybe we should make them sign something if they go into teaching, they gotta come back to AC and sub at least. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And our open consideration to approve advertising for the business manager position. So turn it on.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
That wasn't me, Tam.
Andrea, we're gonna be sad to see you go. Hopefully we can find somebody that you can train and keep us moving forward. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Phew, that was a long one. Here we go. Instructional services. All right, do you want to do that, Diane?
Yes. Do we have the alphabetical report, please?
Sure. So Friday at the elementary, we had our quarter 4 superstar luncheon. And I wanted to recognize the students who participated in that this Friday. And I also had one student who was absent, so I ate lunch from her today. And I told all of them, you know, to be a superstar in quarter 4 is especially impressive because this is the quarter when everybody's ready to be done and we start winding down, and sometimes it's a little bit tougher for them to keep following the rules. So I was very proud of these students. Rylan Hoffman, Ike Lees, Logan Altman, Tucker Buzzard, Dolphin Smith, Brayton Batson, Frankie Guy, and Madison Phillips. Today we had our annual metric meet up at the high school track. We don't know who the winner is. That'll be announced tomorrow once they have everything tallied. But I want to give out a huge shout out to Jeff Lockery. He does this every year, organizes the event for us, gets the kids ready to participate. And it's a great event. This year it was particularly nice since we had to move it from Friday to today due to the weather, which was a great decision. We were able to have the District 9 qualifying track and field high school students come out and help run the meet. So that was really, really nice. You know, they know something about track and they were good role models for the kids competing today. Tomorrow we have our annual 6th grade recognition ceremony. It's here in the cafeteria at 1 o'clock. So we'll be welcoming the families of our 6th graders for that ceremony tomorrow. Wednesday, we have our quarter 4 reward. That was the school-wide reward that students had to earn. And the K through 3 will be going to Hamilton to the Hughes Park and the splash pad. And 4 through 6 will go to Parker's Park near the baseball fields. Thursday, we have PTO Fun Day. So we really appreciate PTO for doing all that they do. And this is the day that the kids probably look forward to the most. They get the blow up things that they set up around outside. They're having a snow cone machine this year. And one of our teachers will be kissing a pig, and possibly our principal too.
Wait, the principal will kiss the pig?
Well, I've only got 30 cents in my jar. So
What, take it?
whatever you want to do. And lastly, I just wanted to mention that Friday being the last day of school, our dismissal is at 11:15 rather than normal time. So, and that's all I have for today.
Thank you. We have the secretary report, please.
I placed at your seat the working copy of our description of attendance for the high school handbook. I wanted to make sure that I got something to you early. As I've stated, it's a working document right now. I have a team of teachers that are working with myself, Mrs. Austin, and the whole idea behind it is just to clarify what our attendance policies are and what the punishment or the penalty is for students that miss a lot of school. I've expressed my sadness at the amount of attendance issues that we've had this year. And I think that part of it could be because, you know, our procedures just aren't real clear to parents. One of the biggest issues is the 3-day period. Students, if they're absent on a Monday, they have 3 days then to bring in that excuse. Mrs. Austin has been overly kind at times. She admits that sometimes she's a little too flexible with that. But this year we've had students, parents that have tried to put in excuses 40 days after they missed. And it's complicated because they've missed more days in that period of time. And it just totally clogs up the disciplinary part of it, as well as just make it totally confusing trying to track all of that. So we are going to attempt to stick to the guidelines very closely. And I guess what I want from this board is to take between now and our next board meeting, read down through this to see in your mind if it's easy to follow and clear from somebody's perspective outside of the district. A lot of times we get into educational speak sometimes, especially when it comes to policy, and it's not easy for just the regular person to read down through that. So please give me some feedback. You can shoot me an email at any time or give me a call in my office just to talk about those things. But we appreciate the input. Tomorrow is the last day for Keystone testing, and we are all going to celebrate. We are tested out at the high school. Graduation is on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Every single person in this room is invited. And I hope that, you know, it's a good graduation. Hopefully it's outside, but the weather's not looking real great right now. In athletics, we have a number of student athletes who did very well at the District 9 track and field event last Friday. It was a little bit wet, but we had a number of students that will be going to the state track and field championships at the end of this week. So they will be leaving Thursday, be down there Thursday, Friday, and possibly Saturday. Also, our baseball team will begin their playoffs tomorrow night at Union, starting at 4 o'clock versus Cameron County. If you have an opportunity, come on over and watch our baseball team. That's my secondary report.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Can we have the Western Secure Treatment Unit report, please?
Yes.
You missed one, Diane.
There's,
Consideration to approve the ARC-7 curriculum beginning with the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Dr. Jordan explained it to us at the last meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Before we move on, I don't know if we haven't brought this up. Is there anybody that wants to hand diplomas out, or have you already talked to Dr. Jordan?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I got
so-
theirs and, ready to go.
Okay, so we're good with that? We usually bring that up sooner, and I think we forgot that. Thanks. Go ahead, Diane.
Thanks. There's a full report with all the breakdown of the finances that you'll get in your packet. But financially, I know you talked about the money coming in from school districts and how that will pay for the teachers in the future. Right now, all of our students who are being educated at the school are being paid through their home school district. So again, we didn't think that would happen as quickly as it has, but we are getting reimbursement for everyone. To date, the total is $285,836.50. So it's good news that we have that system going. And if you wanted to, again, if you want to see the breakdown of that, it'll be in your packet, the school districts and how much each one has reimbursed us for. We also had the Keystones, and they are complete for Westview. As far as staffing, our 4th unit is open, so we're running a 4-unit schedule now. We're up to 33 students altogether, expecting another student this week. And then you have information about the testing center. I got as far as approving this agreement for the GED testing center. Now, I heard talk before about, if other people could use it. It's really just for corrections facilities. That's what I applied under. And so just to answer some of the questions that came up before, you probably wouldn't want other people coming into our facility. And when students leave our facility, for instance, if they go to the dentist or they go to the emergency room, they leave in shackles. So our students don't leave unless they are shackled, which is why we need a GRE testing center right where we are. I'm sorry, GED. So I will probably submit the paperwork if you approve the testing center that I would administer it. We have a back area that we have identified. I know our technology department has been working on getting the proper technology in place if we were to move forward. But we are asked by the placing agencies, so the judges and the probation officers, like, are you going to be able to offer this? Are you going to have vocational opportunities? Like, what are you doing for the students? Those are questions that come up all the time. So I'm glad that you're seeing some of these things happening, because that's kind of, I don't want to say supply and demand, but that's the expectation of what we're providing for these students. You know, if they're 18 and they don't have a lot of credits, are we able to do this testing? Or, you know, if they're an older student, are we able to provide vocational opportunities? So that's what you're seeing. We're trying to satisfy kind of the other stakeholders we're working with who have these expectations of what we can do for students when they're there at Westview. I don't know if you have questions about any of that. We don't commit to a whole lot to be a testing center other than when the student is, you know, at the point that they can take the test, that someone who is approved as a proctor will sit with them and make sure that we're following all of the guidelines for taking the test.
How do they prepare for that?
So that's going to be another question. We haven't had anyone yet who is court-ordered only to prepare for it. We did have one student who has now been moved somewhere else because we didn't have the testing center. But I would like to have one of our teachers working with a student if we knew that they absolutely had to prepare for this and not be in our course. Like I said, we haven't had the court order that has said that yet, although one person did leave because we weren't doing that yet.
So who makes that decision whether they go for a diploma or a GED?
The judge.
Okay.
When they're ordered there, they kind of give us some parameters of what they're to be working on. They're to be getting their diploma, or, you know, the particular student who left, they had said, you know, that he kind of could do either, and then his parent argued that we could not offer the GED, so he needed to be somewhere else. But we were in the process of trying to offer GED.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't know if there are any other questions about that. This is kind of, again, the first stages of getting approved to provide it. Make sure that we are approved as a correctional facility, but we would not be open to the public to come in and do the assessments.
Consideration to approve the Pearson DUB authorized test center agreement and the Western Secure Treatment Facility to provide the facilities and services of the GED testing center, the Pearson DUE authorized center agreement, the PC correctional amendment, and the Pearson DUE authorized center agreement exhibit A. No payment scheduled for academic or correctional facilities, each is attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
We have the federal program report, please.
We don't have anything to report.
Okay. How about the district report?
Thanks, Diane. I just have a couple updates. Kelly and I did participate in PSBA's Advocacy Week this past 2 weeks, really. We met with Representative Bonner, Senator Hutchinson, and we talked about cyber reform, the governor's budget proposal, the fair funding formula, multi-county rebalancing efforts. We didn't spend a whole lot of time into that piece of it. And most of the discussion went back to the budget and cyber reform. And it seems like there's a lot of struggles in Harrisburg at this time. During or preparing for these meetings, I did a lot of work on cyber reform right now, and there's an audit going on. Eugene DePasquale is working on it. There's some information that was shared most recently on May 17th from the Education Voters of Pennsylvania. And they issued a new report on the excessive amount of revenue that these cyber schools are accumulating. So, for example, the four largest cyber schools increased their assets by 92,000%. So that means in 2018, they had a combined $566,000 in their revenue. And right now, or back in 2022, actually, they have $486 million in their revenue back. And if you've seen,
Isn't that ridiculous?
yeah, absolutely. We're not a for-profit organization, public education, and they should not have that. If you recall back in 2018, we had $7.5 million in our reserve, and the auditor recommended us tackle a building project, and we did have some needs in here, but our fund balance was relatively healthy at the time. So just think about that. And there's a lot of work going on with that. So hopefully with more transparency and accountability, we can get some kind of reform. And then Diane, I'll just finish off real quick. The school safety report that will be presented at the June workshop to the school board. It will be done in executive session. That's part of Act 44 of 2018. We'll review all the updates and everything we did this past year. The training that we provided to the staff members, coordinators training that was required through Act 55, and also the safety drills that we did. So Diane, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Consideration to approve using Accurate IT Services, 3854 Fisher Road, Columbus, Ohio, at no cost to the district for the purpose of recycling technology items as listed on the May 2024 recycling list attached.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the following agreements between the Allegheny Clarence Valley School District and the Union School District for the 2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026 school year as follows. Varsity, junior varsity football, junior high football, boys cross country, boys golf, competitive and sideline cheer, girls cross country, girls golf, girls varsity, junior varsity basketball, girls junior high basketball, varsity and junior varsity baseball, junior high baseball, varsity and junior high varsity softball, junior high softball, varsity, junior varsity track, junior high track. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
They have did this one, since we just had it last year.
Yeah, it was a 3-year agreement.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the following official rates for the 2024, 2025 school year as follows. Varsity officials would be $95, JV and junior high officials $85, volleyball officials $105. They do both the JV and varsity games. And track $125. They start both the boys and girls meets. Junior high baseball, A and B games, $95. They will be doing 2 games. So moved.
Second.
I believe these match what he was paying. That's why we changed it, am I correct? So, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Enrollment numbers for face-to-face student enrollment, RFC cyber service enrollment, ACV cyber service enrollment, outside cyber enrollment, i.e. classroom enrollment, outside placement enrollment, homeschool enrollment, and Western Security treatment enrollment date is May 15, 2024 as attached.
Okay, we don't have to vote on that. And I think we lost we went too long, she was ready to go. And I don't blame her one bit, she probably has a test, no, she would have all her tests done. So.
She got a migraine.
She has. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, well, actually, this would be her last meeting, so we need to maybe send her something, thank her for taking her time to be our student rep on the board, and we appreciate all that, her visiting and providing us updates and. Yeah, K2.
You guys should have this in front of you, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, no policy. We'll move to facilities. Do we have a maintenance report?
We do. The high school, David and I met with the Ford Company, which is the contractor that did the project a few years back. And Slippery Rock Roofing, which is the company that put the product down. We're gonna coordinate a plan to do a few different problem areas and kind of get that tackled over the next year or two. They were willing to work with us. We are still having some problems with the steamer at the high school and working on that. The elementary, the domestic boiler, we're gonna have to do some repairs on that, so we're getting some different prices. Did some updates on the carpet scrubber to get that into service here this summer and get everything cleaned up. And some more prices on updating a couple classrooms in the music room as far as carpet, getting those replaced. Some bids on that. District-wide, I know we talked about some blacktop repairs, updating things throughout that. I did get some prices, just to get some ballparks on areas. I talked with Mr. Milford on that briefly, and whenever the elementary was built, everything was re-blacktop. I think there was a couple of repairs up at the high school around 2013, 16 area. And then the early 2000s, everything was seal coated once or twice. And then in 2022, we did the partnership. So overall, there hasn't been much blacktop repairs. It's just been kind of some seal coating here over time. We are getting some problem areas, mainly down here at the elementary where the heavy bus traffic and traffic areas are. Just fertilizing athletic fields, trying to get those back into shape as much as we can. Some different prices on updating a couple areas of the maintenance shop. The guys are full swing with mowing, keeping up with everything, and we're getting ready for summer help. We got the students chosen, and they will start next week for summer help. And Rogan from Hercules LED reached out to me today. He's still working on some final budget information, and that's just on that little bit of lighting that hasn't been done district-wide. The power companies offer some grant funding.
Brady, would you do transportation?
Sure. Consideration to approve the request from Clint Ace to add Erica Jack, pending all appropriate paperwork and an interview with the administration as a driver for the 24-25 school year. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Lynette Bobber to add Melinda Hoffman, pending receipt of all appropriate paperwork and an interview with the administration as a driver for the 24-25 school year. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Jeff, would you do miscellaneous?
Absolutely. Career Center report.
So they had the National Technical Honor Society induction at Keystone High School a couple of weeks. That was really well attended. It's great for the kids for that. They just had the senior recognition night for Career Center kids, I believe, last week, David, or was it this week?
Thursday.
They had that for the kids up at Shippensville, and they really seemed to enjoy that. I wasn't able to attend, but I heard it went up pretty well. We're just about wrapped up with contract negotiations with the EA up there. We actually just had a meeting this evening before I stepped in. I think things are going really well up there. David or Jeff, do you guys have anything to add?
Now, just Tracy put in for that grant for the to replace the roof, and she's waiting to hear back.
Meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I can't be. I have IU report.
So I was unable to be at the April meeting, due to a family emergency that week, but it was mainly some personal issues. There will be no meeting in May. He was not able to get a quorum just because of all of the May activities, commencement ceremonies, athletic things that are going on in different districts. But like I said, it was really not anything that could wait until June for approval, so June will be our last meeting.
Technology committee update.
I do have some correspondence, we skipped that one.
Correspondence.
I'm not sure what this is,
Back to correspondence.
but we got a recognized for 10 years of demand response participation.
And that's our energy saving. From time to time, we'll go down to not using any kind of energy at all, and that's just a thank you for participating in that program. That's something Mark and the crew, we got into a while back.
Athletic committee update?
We did not have one.
We're meeting, the tech committee's meeting this Thursday,
This Thursday,
yes.
technology committee. I'll skip down to F, finance committee update.
No offense.
No update. All right.
Okay, old business, the only question I have, at our last athletic committee meeting, we asked if they'd come and look at the football field, and said that we could possibly have games here, 1 or 2. Did anybody show up yet?
We haven't heard from anybody, but we was out on the field today for practice, and it looks fantastic. James is doing a wonderful job on that field up there. It's amazing. The grass, what it looks like, it's kudos to you, James.
Okay, so our hope is that Dan Reed will come over and look at it and agree to hold 1 or 2 games here in the fall at AC, so I guess we're waiting for him to do that, so. Any other old business?
I don't know if this is old business or not, but Karen Hetchik was the marching band liaison. Since she's retiring, do we need to re-advertise for that position as well?
I don't think when we want to ask the new person if they want to do it first and then.
Yeah, we probably should wait to see who we hire, Brady.
Okay, that's fine. I just don't want that to get lost.
Right, I agree with you. And it, maybe how things are rearranged, I don't know how things are gonna work, flush out here, but we'll have to keep that in mind, yes.
Okay, I know band camps are gonna be coming up in the summer here and some festivals and activities, and I just want to make sure that we have that position filled for our kids.
Right, yes. So our intent, I hope, is to advertise and get somebody hired as quickly as we can, because as you said, everything, a lot happens in the summer, so. Any other old business? Any new business? Does someone want to make?
Let's adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?